How's it going, everybody? This is Jimmy, MtPain, and Doomkid. We're just here to get into some fragging and Doom chatting like we love to do.
Indeed.
Hello.
Hello, folks. This is
Greetings, one and all.
first Frag.
And now this is our first time the three of us ever actually having like a deathmatch and conversation. So,
Yeah, this
and
could be
also,
interesting.
Absolutely. When was the last time you guys
I'm
deathmatched? Each of you.
This is the first time of me deathmatching either of you guys at all. But I'm obviously no stranger to deathmatch. I have done my fair share of it over the last year and a bit, maybe, with the Hellforge. So, I mean, I'm certainly not the best player. I will probably suck a lot, given I do also generally run Xandra more than either of the other two main multiplayer ports. What is this plasma gun sound, by the way?
It is a little weird, isn't it?
the suction sound.
Yeah, that is very strange.
The vacuum cleaner. Double kill. I mainly ask because I played deathmatch yesterday, and I have been mostly not playing deathmatch at all for the last year. So it's unusual you catch me in an unusually deathmatch focused mood, I guess.
Mm.
Not that I'm good
Funnily
at it.
enough, I've actually been indulging in a little bit of multiplayer mapping lately myself.
Oh, nice.
For some reason, for whatever reason, on the Hellforge, we've been absolutely enamored with capture the flag mapping.
Oh, nice.
Over the last month or so, and I've just been pumping them out pretty quickly. Me and a couple other people. So we might have a big project of some sort in the works, but we would need to sort of coordinate our efforts because we've all sort of got our own independent sort of thing going. But yeah, there could be some cool stuff that comes out of that for sure.
Very nice.
CDF mapping is always a fun challenge. I've only done it a few times. And by the way, you said we've never deathmatched before, but I'm pretty sure way back in the Doom Connector and STO days, we might have had a few frags here and there.
Oh, quite possibly, yeah.
16 years ago, just a short time.
I may have deathmatched you while you had the old UD clan tag on, for sure.
And Jimmy, you and I definitely deathmatched last summer. I joined in a guest starred in some of those Hellforge deathmatch sessions back in like March.
Oh, true that. Yeah, of course.
March through June. I was helping. I wasn't helping, but when Capelli was doing his was it Insanity deathmatch? Is that weapon pack called?
Yes,
Insanity. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for a bunch of those. It truly was Insanity.
Yeah, that's such a good mod. Yeah.
So much effort, man.
That really just lifts everything up to 11 in terms of just balls to the wall, just stupid, dumb action, which is exactly
Insanity is the perfect name for it, honestly.
Mm.
Must be like 30 weapons.
I actually told Capelli at some point I'm going to have to record some death matches using it for my channel, so I will be doing that at some point.
Sounds like fun.
Good old vanilla Gothic though. This feels right at home for me.
I like how a lot of these textures were appropriated for Scythe 2. That's where I recognize them from.
Oh yeah.
Shows my lack of experience.
The Gothic set is really good.
For sure.
So many good wads ended up using them, really.
Yeah, obviously the Gothic series. Requiem, probably Requiem is my favorite out of the bunch, to be honest. It's one of those yeah, it's really fun and like very high quality for the time it was made, which is what, 97, I think.
97, yeah.
Yeah, definitely ahead of the curve, especially in the visuals department. The wads that I love that use these textures are like Hobo Master's Onslaught Deathmatch. I don't know if you guys have played those. Those are really fun. They're like sort of.
I may have played that.
I think I played that with you.
Oh yeah, of course. We played it a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Oh right. I'm stuck in a torch. What's going on?
Oh, were you spawned in a torch?
No, I think I'm just stuck.
Where are you? I'm trying to find you.
You've just gone right past me. Is this a desync?
Oh, there's got to be something wrong.
Do you see the red torch in the main area where the plasma gun is? The one that's on the stairs.
Yeah, there's no Jimmy to be found in here.
What the heck?
Oh, all right.
What a weird desync.
Well, that was a hell of a way to conclude that match.
Probably for the best, honestly. Just yank us out of that map.
Yay! I win by weird torch stuckery.
All right.
All right, so
Yeah,
what have you guys been playing in the single-player realm lately
That's
in terms of Doom?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. I just started 50 Shades of Grey Tall today.
Oh, okay. I've got a map in that.
You do. It was the first
What
one.
are your impressions?
I thought it was clever at first, but now I'm noticing that a lot of high-profile mappers contributed to it, especially in the midpoint. I ran into a Syriac Harris map, a Joshi map. There's a Time of Death map coming up later. There's, of course, Mechadon's, Big Dwayne's orbital propane and concrete
Space Emporium thingy.
concrete and propane emporium. I'm excited to play that. That one's up next. But it's man, oh man, the style of gameplay is like Whiplash. You're going from like kind of small, humble maps to slaughter maps to Syriac Harris maps. It's really all over the place, but super fun, wildly creative, and amazing what you guys are able to do with such rigid textural restrictions. Long story short, it feels like a what do you call it? An abbreviated Dean of Doom episode to me.
Oh. Yeah, I remember when that project was going on, and I saw the limitations, and I was like, I think that's too strict even for me.
Kind of works though with the lighting, and there's lots of they got a really cool skybox for it, and a lot of people use that for the floor. To vary that between what do you call it? They use that the sky as the floor and the one allotted flat that they're allowed as the floor.
It's two choices.
Yes.
Basically.
Anyway,
that's a good. It was a very interesting using those limitations myself as one of the mappers. I do thrive under certain limitations, but then there are certain situations where I'm like, oh god, what can I even do here legally, So it was, I guess, sort of an exercise in just sort of like me trying out the formula with my map. So I basically just remade Entryway, and of course that's map 1 in the set called Entry Grey because of course.
Yeah.
Great name.
Wouldn't be a fucking Jimmy map without a goddamn pun in it.
Indeed. Damn.
I love that.
Where's the BFG on this map?
I don't know. I've landed on.
It's
4
like
times
you
now.
get once in a while you get lucky and spawn with it. I don't know if there's actually a way to specifically access it, although I might be wrong. Oh no, there's a little teleporter right here. Oh no, this is plasma.
Oh, fancy that.
Oh, yeah.
That plasma sound is like weirding me out, man. It's just so strange.
It's not ideal.
So I also
prefer the.
No, go for it.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, you finish.
I was just gonna say the plasma gun sound. The default one in Doom, I think, is a little annoyingly loud. But I love the PlayStation one. That's like the perfect middle ground for me. AKA the Dwango 5 one, which actually used it first, oddly.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. So I'm partial to the Doom 3 plasma sound. I substitute that for all of my playthroughs of any Doom WAD, basically.
Naturally, that's
The one's got a nice, smooth, but like powerful sound.
That's the one for Sunlust, right? Sunlust and most of Rivic's work.
Quite possibly.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's so hard to remember that kind of stuff.
I'm pretty.
For me,
I also don't play much Ribic stuff. I think Sunlust is basically the only thing that I've managed to finish. Well, not even managed to finish, because I've gone through 2 playthroughs of Sunlust, one on HMP and once on UV. I still haven't beaten map 30.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about that, because I just finished Sunlust this week. For the first time.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Let's go.
I don't even know why I decided to, but because I had gotten to map 24 before, I stopped right short at Proxyon, not because I couldn't beat it or didn't want to. I just kind of like ran out of steam and moved on to something else. I I just wanted to make it a matter of public record that I'm not avoiding Sunlust because it's too hard. I beat the whole WoD in 3 days.
No, of course, yeah.
And God Machine took probably as long as 6 or 7 of the earlier maps put together, back to back. Absolutely brutalizing.
Yeah.
Like, way beyond... Pretty much the hardest map I've ever played, and I played some pretty tough ones at this point. And that's with the benefit of having watched Asino beat it twice, at least. Having looked up other playthroughs of it and being aware of its existence longer than a lot of the maps that I've played for Dean of Doom. And it still absolutely destroyed me. The Cathedral fight with the million Barons and Hell Knights and Cyber Demons and Revenants destroyed me. The outdoor area destroyed me. I also had a heartbreaking moment where I was in the wrong compatibility, so that weird secret room where you were telefragging Cyber Demons with candles didn't work. So I couldn't get 100% kills. I had to omit those. But next time, there's always 2 playthroughs of a WoD before it goes on Dean of Doom. But anyway, in summary, Doomkid, I remember one of our little podcast thingies, I remember saying it's borderline hostile to recommend a first-timer go for Sunlust. I am doubling down on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're going to double down on that claim?
Yeah, you really... I mean, unless you're playing on I'm Too Young to Die, even if you're playing on I'm Too Young to Die and you're going easy on yourself, Sunlust really is in the highest echelon of what Doom modders are basically capable of doing. It's so...
I don't know. It's like... why not just recommend them something that's still fun and still looks nice, but it's just easier? I just don't get it.
I'm saying you also don't want to recommend. It's like, oh, so you like movies? Well, watch The Godfather. It's the best there is. Like, you don't start with that. You want to calibrate expectations a tiny little bit. And I'm saying Sunlust is meant to be the top, the apex of a Doom journey, I think. It's not necessarily the greatest WoD ever made. I'm not saying that, but it's so high quality and it's so carefully done and such a Doom player's Doom WoD that it's hard not to be really, really impressed. So I give it top marks.
It's one for vets. Put simply, it's one for veterans. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I would.
Oh, Jimmy, what happened?
I've been stuck in a wall for the last 2 minutes. I didn't want to interrupt anybody, so I'm trying to reconnect.
I saw you disconnect. I was like, "Oh shit, he lagged out." I'm just so background deathmatching that I didn't even notice the green player stopped showing up.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's just my connection or just Odomex being weird with me, but like because this is the first time I've basically run it seriously.
Odomex is a bit.
I mean, you got stuck in the torch and then you're stuck in the wall. It's like it's desyncing your location or something.
It's bullying him.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm not fussed if I like lose the frags or whatever, because I know you know we're not here to like win or lose, basically.
Definitely not. This is background footage.
No. Yeah, this is just for fun.
So anyway, I'll quit rambling about Sunlust. That's what I played recently, though.
It's on your mind, you know.
50 Shades of Grey's Hall, Sunlust, MSCP, Micro Slaughter Community Project. I also played, and I played a little bit of Strain for some reason from '97.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you say for some reason? There's all kinds of reasons to play Strain.
Well, my buddy's playing it recently, and I wanted to revisit it and see if it was exactly as janky as I remembered it, and it was.
Yeah, it is. But like, okay, so I gotta ask this: janky, but I was sort of still entertaining and having fun, kind of janky, or janky to the point where it prevented you from enjoying it?
Oh, certainly not unenjoyable. I thought it's lovably eccentric. It's like one of the most 90s WoDs I've ever played. It's so like experimental and weird and colorful, and some of it really doesn't work, and some of it does work. I actually think the Strain shotgun is one of my favorite shotguns in Doom. It's just, the sound is nice. It looks weird, but it's so effective. So I really.
Why is it 1 pixel off from being symmetrical? That bothers me so much.
Well, and the nub doesn't look quite right. They could have instead of just lopping off pixels, they could have I don't know, chosen some different colors.
They lop them off unevenly. Like, there's a spot where, like, if you added 1 gray pixel, it would at least look round, like, you know, a mirror image, sort of.
Yeah.
I would need to remind myself what this thing looks like, because this sounds infuriating, and I want to see it now.
It's a single barrel sprite with a slightly uneven nub at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been ages since I played Strain. I do remember having a bit of a tough time with it because I was not used to sort of mid-90s jank at the time that I played it.
Right.
But the music was the thing that stood out for me
Oh my
for
God.
sure about Strain. Like Mark Clem and David Shaw and Jeremy Doyle, I think. No, John Landis, I think, was the other.
Yes.
That's right. It was.
They
Brilliant.
knocked it out of the park with Strain soundtrack. Holy crap.
Mark Clem just got better and better throughout the 90s, and it's so ironic that arguably I think Strain is some of his best work like that he ever did.
Oh, definitely.
It's so
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
for me. I couldn't pick a favorite. Like, of the WADs that heavily feature Mark Clem's MIDIs, and most of the good composers, by the way, it'd be hard. It's so hard for me to pick favorites because I usually don't view things under that lens, sort of. It's like, this sounds good. I'll put it in the good folder. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely some of his best, though. Maybe not his best, but some of his best, for sure.
Well,
like, you've got Land of Abel, Treasures in the Dark.
Those are the two I was going to mention. Those are the exact
State
two.
of Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Techno Doom so much. Oh my god.
Techno Doom. Oh, wow, yeah, that's a instant classic.
It's a great opener, man. I like... I first heard that when I was probably like 12 or so, and I always just thought it was such a danceable tune for some reason. It makes me want to just move around.
Simple Solutions is another great one,
That is
actually.
another good one, yeah.
Map
Oh,
7
yeah.
in this track, I think.
What happened, MtPain?
I wouldn't let me spawn in. I'm back. Or I'm trying,
Oh my God.
trying to connect.
Just type, if you have an issue with that, try spectating before you resort to reconnecting.
All right. Well, it's now having trouble even connecting me at all, so I think it's an internet thing.
Oh, that
That's all right.
sucks.
I'll just.
That damn terrible internet infrastructure near your place.
Well, I mean, I can still hear you guys talk, so it might be I don't know. I'm back. It's all good. Like Jimmy said, I'm not here to win.
It's all good, man.
Any fragging contests. Nice reference.
Did Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, Clem. I would say probably. Also, there's lots of good David Shaw stuff in there as well.
He's underrated, David Shaw. I like his stuff in Icarus.
Yeah, definitely. David Shaw's got like a more rocky sort of approach to his music, whereas sort of Mark Clem sort of writes, I think, computery music, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yes.
He uses like the same like guitars and you know, like there's like heavy bass lines and banging riffs in Mark Clem's music, but it's so methodically composed. It's sort of like programmed music that like just sounds like it rocks, you know? Whereas David Shaw seems to have more of a contemporary approach, I suppose, because he'll like put a swanky guitar solo in and add some like really cool like drum fills that sound as though like an actual person could have performed them, that sort of thing.
Right. Something that you could easily picture being played live.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Clem, it's funny, and he uses a lot of good sounding but strange instrument choices. Like one of his older MIDIs, Blemish, I think it's called, I'm pretty sure that's the name, has like a sort of like the sitar is like, or like something is the, where you'd expect it to be a regular, you know, overdrive guitar or something. It's like a sitar, you know what I mean? And it just sounds all funky, even though it is a cool solo that I'm sure would sound good on a real guitar, but it just sounds more naturally MIDI-ish, like you were saying.
Yeah, David Shaw's got a few tracks like that as well. I'm thinking of Memento Mori 2 Map 14's track has got like a weird semi-quasi guitar solo in there. What's it called? It's Map 14, it's Time of Death or whatever it's called. Shoot, I can't remember the name of it now.
Fucking cocksucking fucking Rotomax. Alright,
MtPain, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Let's see if this works. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Rotomax is acting like nothing happened.
It's like, what crashed?
It thinks I have a very short memory.
God,
One seamless transition later.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah, I found it. It's called The More Awaits.
If it matters, I can supply just the video of this. If, like, Jimmy, if your video quality is kind of rough or whatever, we can maybe sync up the audio and video of, like not use my audio, but use my video if you want to. But mine is...
You guys can...
Mine can be the backup now.
Send, upload just a bunch of unlisted videos, you know what I mean? And then I can go ahead and Frankenstein them all together. That's fine by me.
That sounds good.
Alright.
It'll take a few days because I have to wait for my computer to get here. But then I'll get Vegas installed and I'll friggin' do it.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
So we're talking about Mark Clem.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And generally just those, the old batch MIDI musicians, moreover, and those old wads that they were used in.
Mm-hmm.
Strain, Icarus. One composer who I always loved from that era as well was Jeremy Doyle, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Jeremy's another
His
rocker.
Requiem soundtrack stuff. Yeah. You can definitely hear it in like his actual like riff choice, like particularly in his Requiem and Icarus stuff. Like the way he writes riffs is very sort of like, I want to say like Black Sabbath-y, or you know,
Yeah,
almost like a little bit Slayer as well, maybe.
As if he's playing the guitar riff and then transcribing it into MIDI form. I wouldn't be surprised. Probably my favorite track of his, though, is from Requiem MtPain27. I forget I think it's Tides of War. Is that what it's called? Probably the most...
Right, yeah.
One of the
that's
most menacing bass lines ever.
Chilled out... Yeah, it's like a chilled out ambient piece, but it's got like a... Wah, wah,
yep.
wah, 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 wah.
That's the one. With the aggressive, aggressive drums,
really
too.
Cool one.
It,
Dude, one that I just... It's insane to me is Stomp. I love that one so much.
That's MAP20 Icarus, right?
Yeah.
That was one that I featured.
That's just such a hard riff right there, a hard rockin' riff. Sorry, what were you saying?
That's the one I featured on Dean of Doom. It's that was the one I said, like, you know, basically danger of headbanging.
Yeah, exactly. This is a chilled. This is an example of a chilled Mark Clem MIDI we're hearing. I don't know if it'll come through on the recording, but it's a nice sort of just relaxed paced one, you know.
Yeah, my favorite Mark Clem MIDI.
I'm sure this is a Clem MIDI.
Yeah, my favorite.
This one's a David Shaw MIDI.
Oh, is it?
It is. Oh my gosh, I'm so wrong.
Yeah. I think it's called Random Particles.
Oh man, good. You have a good memory for the titles and stuff. I'm so terrible.
I've literally got them all in a playlist on my on Windows Media Player that I use for the background of my streams.
Oh, of course.
That said, I have omitted a couple of them because some of them don't loop properly or have like weirdness going on in the middle that Windows Media Player kind of chokes on. Like I had to go searching for The More Awaits just now because that one has problems with the drums where they just do not play at all. Unless you're using a very specific MIDI playback device, and Windows Media Player doesn't play ball with it at all.
You're on Windows, Jimmy?
I am indeed, yeah, sadly. Windows 11 of all goddamn things.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. I didn't realize that was closer. Just fun. Well, I mean, I was going to say Virtual MIDI Synth is a good... you can load a sound font that sounds just like the Windows one, and have Windows Media Player itself tap into VMS, and it tends to fix a lot of those problems. Like the most famous example for me is ever since XP, the Windows Media Player couldn't play the drums in the Head Like a Hole 9 Inch Nails MIDI, which was used in like a zillion Doom maps back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And so like hearing that MIDI with no drums just takes so much of the oomph out of it, you know? But if you actually set VMS and just use the basic Windows sound font, it sounds way better. Oof. Might be an idea.
Oh, how did you dodge that? Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just one of those really weird old schoolies who just digs the general MIDI default sound font, and like even stuff like that emulates it, like Timidity or Virtual Synth or whatever, just doesn't sound quite right to me for whatever reason.
It's so funny because there's like 5-6 different sound fonts out there that claim to be the basic Windows MIDI sound font, and like some of them were 95% close, and I'm like, okay, that's close enough. But the difference always annoyed me in like the timbre of the guitar, especially when the overdrive guitar would get into like higher octaves and just sounded completely different and wrong. And
yeah,
like,
that's the font that I'm using for my uploads to YouTube. So, like in the absence of any better solution or any sound font that it's actually more accurate, that's the only one that I'm using at the moment or can use at the moment for those uploads.
is that
And
SCC1T2 by chance?
yes, indeed, yeah, and it's got the weird guitars in it, and I don't like the way that it treats like certain drums and synth strings as well. It's a bit funny. Like you can just put really, really loud emphasis on some of the string instruments sometimes. It's just weird.
I've got one. I seriously searched on and off for like 2 years to find one that was a true blue, no bullcrap recreation of the Windows one. It's called Roland GM. It's RLND GM. And it's like, finally, the guitars actually sound proper whenever they go to the high. There's no weird, overly loud synths. And the crash cymbals don't last way too long like they do on SCC122. Yeah,
Excellent.
so it fixes all that
stuff.
crap. Yeah.
If you can provide me a handy little link to that, I'll be most
I
grateful.
definitely will. And I'll put one in the description of the video, too, for anyone who's, like, relying on sound fonts and what's the true blue Windows sound, because it's hard to find.
Yeah, fantastic. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Once we wrap up this recording, I'll find that. Man, MtPain, that plasma is just oppressive.
Yes. I mean, the only way to use the plasma in Deathmatch is to just kind of create a flock of projectiles and shoot them all at the same, in the same.
The hallway
direction.
filler.
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
I love that one of the player starts on this map is apparently on top of the well.
Oh yeah.
You guys seen the cute little well there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Doomkid. I've played Gothic DM a bunch, I swear. I don't really remember this map, although it's a fun one. I like it.
This one's pretty good, yeah.
It's quite open.
I wish you could jump off the wall where the BFG is. That's my one complaint.
Yeah, you have to take the teleporter off. Looks like.
Oh.
That was quite the cluster.
Whoa. Little, we all three of us met in the hallway there. Oh yeah, that was another thing we wanted to talk about, MtPain, was the perception of monsters over time. I want to hear what both of you guys have to say on that.
Well, I mean, that topic started off as like, what's your the most basic question ever? What's your favorite Doom monster? What's your least favorite Doom monster? That sort of thing. But I went on a little mini tangent in the Discord about how, I mean, the Archvile is my favorite, mostly because he's such a unique idea. The most unique or second most unique, maybe, or tied for most unique attack in the game, I think, with the Pain Elemental, because the Pain Elemental doesn't attack but just creates more of its little minions. I love that idea. Lots of games have replicated that. The Archvile, being the medic, the resurrector, and the flame caller, he's just uniquely unsettling too. Just the way he sounds, the way he looks, the kind of fleshy, emaciated look it makes him less overtly demonic. Like he's often called Martian looking or the
alien.
Mm.
The fleshiness, what it reminds me of, if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth, the creature that holds his hands up.
The pale-eyed man?
Yeah, that guy. That's what the Archvile's like. If he was in a live action recreation, they could only hope to make him as terrifying as that. Because he's not humanoid. I mean, he's humanoid, but he's less overtly satanic than the others, but in that way he's kind of more satanic because he's so uncanny,
scarier. He's more different.
He's like the demons that the demons are scared of.
Exactly, and that's reinforced by his high health pool and his ability to he brooks no bullshit with other demons. I think I once said in a one of my Patreon exclusive videos that he's got the thinnest skin of any demon. When one demon attacks him, he immediately reacts and smites him.
Yeah.
So I like that he's kind of hot-headed and fickle in that way. but also just the most sinister of the demons, I think. Because even the cyber demon is just big and dumb and shoots rockets.
Yeah. He's like the imp's like uncle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just like the biggest imp.
Big imp with rockets.
And the Spider Mastermind would be scary if she weren't so freaking gawky. I always chuckle when I see a Spider Mastermind because she's so oversized. So
the left to right hitbox is just too wide. Like the height makes sense, but left and right should have been reduced for sure.
yeah, and not terribly threatening. Like the Archvile is always the most, like the shiftiest and the least predictable because of how fast he is. So anyway, as a kid, I was always
shifty. I will always refer to Archfiles as shifty from now on.
Well, that's kind of how I see him. He's so fast. You know, you talk about pinkies are zigzagging and running around. The Archvile's even faster than that, and he can his attack is scary, and he makes that freaky like purring noise when he's following you. He sets your teeth on edge. So I love all of that. I think he's the best designed monster in the game and the most iconic monster from Doom. Yes, even more so than the Cacodemon. Although I love Cacodemons to death.
Oh. Well, the Cacodemon literally looks like an icon, though. Like.
Oh no, I know. I mean, the Cacodemon probably is the most iconic monster from Doom. But my favorite would
in terms of functionality, definitely the Archvile.
Yeah, it's just so different, and it makes you wonder, like, if they had more than, a couple of months to polish up. What other monsters would they have added? What other things could they have added to Doom 2? I mean, I guess you saw that in Quake, and their monsters in Quake aren't terribly revolutionary. Although the most interesting monster in Quake, arguably, is the Shambler, which acts like an Archvile, with the line of sight attack and all that. So, anyway. My point about the Archvile is that it was my favorite monster for all those reasons, fairly generic reasons. But what's interesting is as a kid, I was always just really scared of the Archvile, more so than even like the Cyber Demon, which it's like a boss monster. You kind of expect to be scared of that. But Archviles they have the fear factor, whereas Cyber Demons have the intimidation factor. And it's because and you could obviously guess that in Plutonia's map 11, the Archvile maze was like just the most high blood pressure raising experience I had in Doom back in the day. I'm not even
in the Aquads for sure.
I definitely did not get all the kills. Like I escaped as soon as I could from that map in particular. But now, as I said earlier to these guys, I think of most of the Doom monsters as kind of old friends. I am resolutely unafraid of all of them. Unless the mapper makes, the only thing that can creep me out or scare me is the actual design of a map.
Dude, okay. Speaking of the monsters being familiar and something creeping you out, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but seeing the monsters bastardized for Doom,
man. Yeah.
Everyone talks about it. I wouldn't even know what it was if everyone didn't talk about it constantly, but everyone is always on about it, and it's like seeing old friends getting, some weird... Anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole.
Living out somebody's sick, twisted fantasy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, those demons got to pay the bills somehow.
That's very true.
That's dark.
They just happened to set up an OnlyFans page all at the same time, and
man.
one thing led to another.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Doom guys, subscribe to them all.
And on that bombshell,
indeed.
Well, on the note of like monsters, the demon that demons are afraid of. One memory I've like rambled about a few times is when I first got to Tower of Babel as a kid. Seeing 4 barons hung up was like really scary. I'm like, damn, like what demon has the strength
could have done this?
Right. And then when I actually, as I remember that moment of tension all the time, but I always forget to say, I walked out and found out it was a cyber demon. I'd already played Doom 2 at this point. And so when I was expecting, several Archviles or something. And so when I saw it was just a cyber demon, I was like, oh, it's a cyber demon. It was just tension was immediately yeah,
no
I was already becoming old friend status with them at that point.
Right.
But then, of course, it saved the true scare. So that was like a fake-out scare. The true scare was saved for the end with the sweet little dead bunny ending.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, that one scared me when I first saw it. Because I was just, I think I was 9 when I saw it. Or so, very young.
I must have been 2 when I saw that for the first time. I was really young.
Oh.
And, yeah. Yeah, that left some deep-seated sort of feelings on some
Anxiety.
very complex and some very very complex fears that I haven't quite worked out to this day.
It's just so out of place. Like it was extra. I felt extra insulted as a kid because okay, so when I first got Ultimate Doom, it came with Doom 95. It was 1999, just to give some context, and I was like, oh, Doom 95, that's really cool. It felt like a big improvement over just vanilla Doom because the high resolution and stuff. I know it's buggy.
Doom
out
95, that's 93 more than Doom 2. Holy wow. That's so much more Doom per Doom.
Oh man, like several times the Doom. So I was like, I liked it a lot, and so when I saw the ending and it shows like the rabbit and it's playing like the gentle intro part of the riff, I'm like, oh, it's gonna scroll over and I'm gonna see the Doom guy fighting Cyber Demon, and instead it was the fucking impaled rabbit head. I was like, what? Just felt so faked out at that point.
I bet that was an Adrian Carmack edition because he was always he wanted to draw some more violent shit, and I have a feeling that was a big fu to all of his Commander Keen fans.
Right. You don't get a happy ending this time.
No. Yeah, no, it's funny because Adrian did like those sort of like the darker aspects of the art and stuff, and that actually gave people credence to the damn Mussolini myth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which you've dedicated your career to debunking.
Yeah, at this point, dude, it's just 3 different points. Doom does have an X, Y, and Z axis. It wasn't Mussolini, and Mouse Look was there for the start. That's my mantra at this point.
It's worthwhile.
I watched your debunking video on that guy with the YouTube video. He was like, here are all of these Doom myths on the Doom iceberg. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the midnight one. I'm glad that he responded in a cool way at least.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, your video was really cool. It was like debunking like most of his information. Like a lot of it he just got incorrect. But I mean, you know, that's nothing against him as a person. Clearly, it's just you know, misinformation is quite common. So
yeah, there's so much of it out
these
there.
Things.
Exactly. It's like it was secondhand misinformation a lot of the time because there's people out there I've seen way before him spreading a bunch of, you know, unfounded stuff.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, how long has the Doom is only 2 dimensions shit been going on?
Oh man, so long. It's so funny too because what do they think's happening when you're riding a lift like up into the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, this is really
Things in the
stretching the
distance
view.
are smaller than when they are up close.
Yeah.
I mean, that clinches it for me, personally.
Yeah, God, for me, that's just one of the many total obvious selling points.
Yeah.
Man, this map is really just the... Oh, sorry, yeah. I was just gonna say it's just the bare minimum, but anyway.
It's a big box, isn't it, basically, with some cages. So the Doom Monsters question for me is kind of an interesting one, because I have a bit of a fascination with all of the Doom 2 monsters, I have to say. They're all, I think, equally my favorite and least favorite, and I think I'll explain why.
That's fair.
Doom 1's bestiary, I will say, is limited, but it does a pretty damn good job of being varied enough that it can still keep the game extremely entertaining. Like, I say this as somebody who's mapped for Ultimate Doom extensively, I will say. I've got Deathless under my belt as testament to that. I've got like a basically a full mega wed that I put together using just the Doom 1 monsters, and it turned out fine. The maps were fun to make. Like, it was like the limitation of the bestiary there was fun to work with and fun to test as well, because I was like, okay, well, there's only certain scenarios that I can cook up here, and I don't have to think too deeply about the combat here, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's still going to be Doom, and it's still going to be entertaining. So that was fun to put together. The Doom 2 monsters are kind of a genius move on the part of id, because each of them serves such a unique purpose in the bestiary that Doom 2 and Doom 1 are fundamentally incredibly different games as a result, because the combat flow is so different. So your dodging needs to be, you know, way on point to deal with, you know, things like arachnotrons and mancubi, and you're running away from revenants who suddenly have homing missiles, and the archvile is a thing that can resurrect monsters and set you on fire and leap you up into the air. So they are all like such interestingly designed enemies, and they're all such bastards to deal with face to face, you know. So
yeah, they all have a very unique niche they fill.
yeah, and I've been not. How do I say this? No Doom monster has frustrated me quite like any Doom 2 monster has. Do you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
They take turns being the worst.
With the possible exception of the Hell Knight.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, they
except for him.
do.
Hell Knight would have fit right in Doom 1, to be honest.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you know, it's
So,
funny.
Yeah.
In regards to, you know, long-term mappers who are doing it, I've made like one Doom 1 map in the last. I think I've made 200 and something levels, and one of them was for Doom 1. And then every other one was for because I couldn't do it. Like I tried a few times. And I'm like, I need a chain gunner, or you know, I need a pain elemental. I need a arachnotron. Like so many scenarios where you're just thinking, because it's at the end of the day, you've got a regular imp, a tough imp, a flying imp, and then you've got zombie men and shotgunners, and then there you go. That's what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to rely really heavily on boss monsters or basically the hit scanners.
But your map sets, Jimmy, I haven't beaten them, but I've played like at least half of you know, I'm like this with most WADs. I play like a half of it and then I just get sidetracked, even if it's a great WAD, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's good on you for using those resources to actually make a fun experience. Like it's so much hard. It was so hard for me when I tried it, you know?
I think it just tempers your ambition, really, mapping for Doom 1. Like, it just makes the process a little bit more streamlined. Like, sure, there's less you can do with the game, but if your option, or if your end goal, I suppose, is to make maps quickly, which mine was very much the case with Deathless, because it was a speed map set, then Doom 1's a very good go-to for that.
The simplicity actually helps streamline the process in that way, sort of.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll say actually that my Doom 2 monster, like my favorite monster to use in a Doom 2 map is definitely the Revenant.
Really,
very
I didn't
versatile.
Notice. I never noticed playing Genesis.
He's always been like my go-to when I want like a high unit that just pressures the player a little bit, and I try not to use them nowadays like I did with Genesis, which was using them in basically every other room, in great big hordes, which is like I was using them in like probably the third or fourth room in map 1 of Genesis. It was really silly. Like there's no sense of escalation in Genesis.
In the Doom mapping culture of which we've been a part of for a long time, there was actually kind of a fad of like spawning as many revenants as you could. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was a sort of, I think subconsciously or unconsciously, whatever the word is, some people might have accidentally done it just because it was like a sort of, there was a level of amusement as a mapper to spawning a bunch of revenants. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And they are a bit of a meme in the community for sure. Like, the more revenants, the funnier it is, you know? That's basically it. That's why you've got shit like 100,000 revenants.
Murphy Black.
Like, that's... Yeah, that shit. GG.
Yeah, that's so habitual for me to just type it at the end of every round.
I did used to type it out every round, but I just fell out of the habit and I just don't do it anymore. The GG is very much implied by the fact that I partook in the game.
Yeah, we're all here,
and we're all
so
speaking
we know
to
it's
each
a
other.
GG.
Yeah, it's more like a meme to type GG.
I even say it just at the end of like, whenever I'm reaching near the end of my recording or whatever in the chat, I'll always just say GG. The good way to almost say like goodbye as well.
So am I the youngest one here? At 27?
Sorry?
Am I the youngest person in this video?
Jimmy is 1 year my senior, I believe.
I'm 30.
Okay, and Doomkid, you're 29?
I'm 29, soon to be 30, so yeah.
We're basically all the same
yeah.
age group, but I just figured that I was slightly younger than the two of you.
Yeah.
Alright, well.
Not by much.
We're seniors hanging out with a sophomore.
Basically. I mean, this is my second full year in the Doom community, so that makes sense. And by that metric, you guys are like my professors.
No. We're all in the you know, the DoomTube / content creation osphere.
For sure.
You're just a little bit of, you know, you're one of the newer teachers to this facility.
Right. I haven't got my tenure yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done my number of tutorials, but I know Jimmy has put a fair few videos and bits of content out there assisting newer Doomers as well, so.
I love the
Which
video.
I've been threatening to do more.
I love.
So, yep.
I love your video. Anyone can make a Doom map. I was a huge fan of that video when it came out. I've watched it twice.
Iconic
yeah,
video.
fabulous. Yeah, I've been meaning to do one for Midis as well, but
Please
like
do.
that's been on my plate for easily a year, and haven't got round to it yet.
I need the
I
encouragement.
recorded all the footage like a year ago. Yeah, no, it's definitely gonna get done eventually. I will make sure that happens.
Lovely.
Because yeah, definitely that anyone can map video took off in quite a big way, and it has been, you know, it gets routinely linked in Discords and things like that, where people are saying, "Hey, how do I use Doom Builder or whatever?" You know, it's just such a commonly linked thing now. It's like, okay, well, I've certainly hit on the formula here.
Well, it's honestly the inspiration.
Video
factor,
making
too.
for me.
Yeah. Go
What were
ahead.
you gonna say, Jim?
Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
Video making for me is always a bit of a toughie because I've only got a silly little laptop, and I've got a program that really doesn't cooperate with me. I'm using not Vegas or anything. I'm using a free program called Hit Film Express, which I don't think anyone else uses ever.
Oh gosh, you're using like some little free thing. That's funny.
Yeah, it's moderately powerful. It's better than some of the other free options out there, but it's still not the greatest by any means. Yeah, it's.
I could I mean, I know I don't know if the license would like work or whatever, but I could send you my copy of Vegas or something just to, you could at least give it a shot, you know, if you wanted to try something that's at least got a
Maybe.
little bit more customization.
Yeah, that might help actually. I've got like I said, only a little laptop, so it's sort of like as soon as any sort of demanding task happens, I've desynced again. I'm gonna reconnect.
Oh no.
Give me a sec. Yeah, as soon as this dinky little laptop gets any sort of remotely intense thing demanded of it, it will just sort of start whirring and getting hot and bothered and just not do anything properly.
Yep, that's my old laptop in a
Worrying
nutshell.
and getting hot and bothered.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, MtPain.
Well, I got.
Yeah, what are you working with in terms of your computer?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I tried to describe what my computer was for you before Doomkid, but it's basically, it's just some Dell thing I got for it. It was a package deal. I spent like $600 on it back at the end of Dean of Doom Season 1, actually. So I upgraded from my crappy 2012 laptop to this quite a ways back. But my old laptop
I do remember you telling me
was
that.
that was on its last legs. Nowadays it has it's the laptop equivalent of Alzheimer's.
Right, I see. So,
yeah,
in other
mine's
words,
getting that way.
you guys are both in a tough spot when it comes to the video editing situation. That sucks.
Well,
hopefully
not
once
now.
I get this new.
Nowadays it's much easier. It used to be hard though.
So your new computer's been a lot better for you then. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, although Vegas is a thing where basically, I mean, Doomkid, you might be able to relate to this, but I think Vegas just, however much space that your computer has available in terms of RAM, it uses all of it. It is not very. It doesn't share memory with any other application.
Oh, it is a hog for sure. Okay, so there's a program that I use, because I used to, if I let Vegas just go unrestricted, it would crash my computer because it would just be like it would try to send it. It would sound like a rocket that's about to launch to space or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the way to get around that is there's a thing called BES.exe, Battle Encoder Shirase or something.
Okay.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but it basically can put like a limiter, so you could set it to only be able to use, say, 70% of your actual RAM rather than all of it.
Interesting. I might have
Right.
to
And
look
so
into
it
that.
gives, yeah, that extra breathing room can really help it so your computer's not being pushed like all the way past the limit to the point of dying. Instead, it's just getting worked kind of hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it
Yeah, true,
routinely
yeah.
pegs the 99% on mine, especially while rendering. But it does get things done quickly.
Man, it's good that it gets it done. This will slow it down a little, but like give your computer less of a a migraine.
Yeah. My laptop had like a decade of that, basically. So no wonder.
It just got pushed until it had nothing left to give.
Yeah, like the giving tree. No wonder it's fried.
The giving laptop, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, with mine it's like it's really rough because like it's just for some reason I think it might not just be the RAM that's being like taken up. It's also like the graphics card is just fully just being engaged by my program, the HitFilm Express. So I can't run things like GZ Doom particularly well while I've got the window open. Like everything else just sort of basically slows to a crawl.
Yeah.
And even if I do have it in the background, if I don't have the window engaged in the and I just leave it in the background for maybe like 2 minutes, it will suddenly seize up, and my GPU will get taken with it.
Oh, boy.
So then
no.
at that point I can't run anything from GZ Doom to a YouTube video at all, and I have to do a full computer restart. So it's like the worst thing in the world.
That's brutal.
God, that really puts a extreme damper on the video creation situation.
Yeah, that's why I'm not as productive as you guys, basically.
Man,
I need a better hardware situation for sure.
But do you
it sucks because my old computer. Oh, sorry, you go on.
I was just gonna ask, do you record footage with OBS, Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay. That was all.
Same software you use, right, MtPain?
Yes.
Yeah, same here as well. For a while, I used Fraps, but it was just too demanding on like it would create such enormous video files. Like I don't need them that big.
OBS can do the same thing too if you're not careful. But yeah, that can be a problem for my computer as well. Recording footage is pretty strenuous.
Yeah. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, even streaming is a bit of a problem for me now. Like like this is smooth. Like I'm getting like 60 FPS with Odomex, and I've got a stream on in the background. Well, not like a stream, but a local recording. So yeah, seems to be all right. So this is what I was hoping for, but I think as soon as I hit that stream button, I might just start to expect like some real slowdowns, and, like frame issues and big frame drops with, particularly GZ Doom.
Yeah.
So that sounds like, and it's more. You were saying it's more seeming like your computer's fault rather than like your actual internet connection speeds or something.
Well, quite possibly, but I think it might also be a few compounding factors. Like I'm on Windows 11, which isn't the most efficient OS by any stretch of the imagination.
So much bloat.
Yeah, and then I've got GeForce Game Ready driver as well, which is constantly hounding me for updates, and OBS will just straight up not run if the GeForce drivers aren't up to date. So I updated those, and as soon as I updated those, things ran, but they ran slower. So, you know, great update, guys. Fuck's sake.
Good old down date.
Yeah, down date. Yeah. So that's why the videos are taking a while, basically.
Yeah, you gotta just
GG.
get into it. GG. Yeah, it's a matter of getting yourself to like when you finally are able to replace that old hardware and other faulty bits. It feels good because you can finally get back on the horse. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it as well. Like I'm got 8 maps left to play, so I've been running a contest for a couple months now. And
Right, yeah, I've seen it.
I mean, there's got 8 maps left to play, and that's when the computer craps out. I'm like, why? You could have at least let me
Aw.
get through the last 8 maps and then.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah, so it sucks for those 8 people who are waiting to see the playthroughs too. Like, they already had to wait 2 months with the regular schedule, and now it's being artificially bloated.
Hmm.
I'm
Don't
lucky
destroy
that you.
computers.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I'm lucky you guys are able to record because I just couldn't even do it right now on this little dime store laptop. What were you gonna say?
I was going to ask Doomkid if you have an update for us. Like, once those maps are played and recorded and posted, how soon can we expect a verdict?
I'm thinking so after I play the last map, I'm gonna spend a week going through each map and writing at least a couple sentences about each one.
Okay.
And then I'll be reading that in video form with footage from each map and like the name of the map and the author on the screen.
That's
Probably in red text, similar to how you do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll so yeah, and then at the end of that I'll say I'll have to pick a top 2, which is gonna be so hard. And then I'll name the ones that like I had to debate over. And then that'll pretty much be the summary of it. And then after that I'll contact the 2 winners and get their money sent through PayPal.
Yeah, I like that idea for there to be like a video recap of the whole contest. But if you use my format, you'll have to pay me. It's copyrighted.
I will. You'll be the secret 3rd place winner no matter what happens.
As I say, I can also, if you want to hire me as a voice actor to do the grade difficulty, I will oblige. But my rate is, I haven't decided my rate.
You said it. You said the thing.
Grade
The
difficulty.
rate is rather high.
You can't afford me.
Oh man, I've got a funny story about the video I put together a little while ago for my Genesis retrospective.
Yes, the Genesis of Genesis.
Which has a little MtPain27 homage in there.
Oh, I saw. I loved it.
Yeah, it was me reviewing map 18 of Genesis, which is undoubtedly the worst in the set. There's no debate about it. I was like, what font does MtPain use for his grade difficulty text? I want to find that online, and I couldn't find it online as just a basic download. So in the end, that little 2-second joke where I use the red text from MtPain27's formula for his videos cost me like £20.
What? What?
It was just.
What font did you use?
It was the exact same one you use. I found it.
Bolster Bold?
I found it online. I forget what it's called. What's it called?
It's called Bolster Bold. Is that the one you used?
Oh, I think the one I got was it Boss?
Oh no. Maybe you didn't use the one I use. And it still cost you £20.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I found it on the website. I think I used What the font to try and identify the right one, and it looked pretty much exactly the same as the one you used.
It did, but the one I used is called
Looks a lot.
Bolster Bold. Yeah.
There's a font I use on Doomworld called not Doomworld, Doomshack, called Oxanium, and it looks almost identical too. Like I checked it out in Vegas, and I was like, yeah, if I ever want to do a MtPain parody, this is the font. And then he told me it was Bolster Bold. I'm like, oh crap, maybe it's not the font.
It does look close enough though, and close enough is good enough. Plus, I mean,
yeah.
You did the impression properly, so.
You should have just used Comic Sans and just made people like scratch their chin and go, huh?
Well,
yeah, I got that. That would have been so much funnier.
I was actually thinking.
Here's an interesting story. Decino, in his most recent Doom analysis video, used the dunce cap, and the dunce cap that I use now was created custom by a viewer. So there's no way he just created it. Either he photoshopped it out of one of my videos, which would be very impressive and a lot of time spent, or he made it himself and it's an exact replica. He did not ask me like how I got it or how I obtained it. So he just, I'm pretty sure, just like figured it out. Now that I would not put that past him, obviously.
Super easy.
I guess.
To just put your video in HD, take a screenshot, and then cut that cap out. That would take me like 5 seconds, dude.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not very.
I bet that's what he did.
I'm not good at photo editing. I wish I was. I feel like it's a half step away from video editing, but I was impressed.
It's pretty. I mean, okay, as someone who's actually I tried my best to learn the art of just like funny looking video thumbnails that look like they're going to be clickbait, but then they're actually like the video actually is what it says rather than clickbait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I'm pretty good at making the little eye catchy things. I recently went through. I was some of my videos had like a red theme to the thumbnail, and recently I decided to just lean into that and redo them all in that style. And yeah, no, I think video editing is way tougher. It's way harder. It requires a lot more
Yeah.
knowledge of how things should be paced and, you know, other things like that are more subjective in nature. You know what I mean?
If I may go on a short rant, I think that people often think of good video editing as ability to use like graphics and transitions fancily, when in my mind all video editing is dictating the rhythm and the flow of a given presentation in video form.
Yeah, and that's what makes it hard.
Things like if it's cooking along and you almost don't notice the cuts coming together, or you do notice a cut or a change in intensity or emotion or atmosphere, like basically you decide as the editor what should be noticeable and what shouldn't be noticeable and how things fit together. That to me is editing. So when people say good editing, they often don't mean that in my experience.
They're like, wow, man, those transitions are so smooth.
Well, Decino...
Yeah,
like,
people never notice
effect.
good editing. People will always notice bad editing.
Oh, for sure. I'm saying Decino gets complimented for good editing, and it's like he actually gets complimented for the wrong reasons, even though he is a good video editor. He does dictate the pace of his videos beautifully. People are like, oh, those little cartoons you use, the Doom guy dancing graphics was really fun. That's such good editing. And it's like, no, that's not editing. That's you know, that's graphical work. That's VFX basically. So it's more like clearing up a, what do you call it, a misconception rather than bitching about anything. So I don't know. That's
a lot of people they say good video editing. They mean I like that really funny little cartoon and those transition effects were cool.
Yeah.
For me it's like I like kind of minimalistic approach, sort of like whenever I put pictures on the screen of relevant stuff, I don't need to have them like do a PowerPoint thing where they like fold in and like roll and all that stuff.
No.
I just kind of fit it into the screen, you know what I mean?
Those kinds of transitions are there for the saps, basically. Basically, you've given yourself away as a bad video editor if you use that unironically. That's sort of fancy stuff, the overly fancy stuff.
You know what, though? I will say, I did pay Biodegradable to edit a video for me once. And he did use a few of those fancy transitions, but they were done in a classy way. It's hard to... It's funny, because I'm just thinking of it now, and it did look really good.
I'm saying, I'm trying to picture the fancy,
he's a good editor.
Well, yeah. I think we're probably picturing different things. Because I'm picturing the cartoonish, like, 3D page turn animations, which...
You're thinking of, like, PowerPoint style shit.
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking that as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like, clearly there's tasteful ways to do egregious transitions. Not all of them are bad or in bad taste.
No, definitely not. There's a... Whoa, people are connecting.
Player and player 2.
We've had this MIDI a lot this session.
Yeah, it's used on several maps.
My left ear is enjoying the guitar solo.
It's panned all the way to the left.
Yeah, the distortion guitar is all on the far left. Yeah.
I love listening through headphones to get the actual clarity of the sound, but I've been using a high quality, a nice one, but a speaker recently, just because if something's panned all the way in one direction, it just bothers me. I want it at least a little bit of it on both ears. I don't know why.
Yeah, it really bothers me as though things aren't like fully centered, unless it's like really like quick and for effect. Like I rarely use panning in my midis like to any extreme degree.
Like you'll set a slight some slight panning on the actual instruments when you're setting it up, and then not throughout the song things aren't phasing left and right constantly. Basically,
yeah.
There's a good example of panning. A MIDI that uses panning well is the one from Eternity Map 16. Alfonso's All Systems A Go-Go, I think it's called. The
That's a great name.
It goes back and forth between the 2 ears, and I kind of like that.
For something
Yeah, I
like
do
that,
love that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Because
I hate when
it's good.
there's so many MIDIs out there, especially that are used in like older Doom maps, where the panning is all set to like 64, which is the middle, but then one instrument is like 127, which is all the way to the right, I believe, for no reason. It's like, why?
That's horrible.
I appreciate the BFG just sitting here in this map.
Just chilling.
Aw.
Wow, man, there's really not even a lift or anything. It's just
Yeah,
It's just there. It's just
here's the
vibes.
library.
BFG spam. Spam.
It's you're not going to get much peaceful reading done in this library. I don't think it's
Nobody reads in Doom.
These demons have a lot, like so many books around, and yet they're all illiterate.
You know, I will stick up for some of the demons. The ones in Going Down, map 9, are trying desperately to educate themselves. They're all facing the shelves when you walk in. And it's very calm and peaceful until Doom Guy shows up.
Man, it's been years since I've played Going Down, but it had so many encounters and little cute moments and shit in between all the havoc and chaos.
Syriac is a true genius.
Yeah, I love Going Down.
The phone calls to like mom or whatever are like so funny.
Hello, is this Doom Guy's mum? Yeah, he dropped his phone, lol.
And you can actually do the
That's a
accent
great
properly.
moment.
I love that.
Oh, that's amazing. Jimmy's got like a hybrid accent at this point between Australian and sort of English, which are not ultra different anyway, but still.
Nah, yeah. It's definitely. I mean, I say nah, yeah, and yeah, nah.
That's very
routinely.
Australian.
So yeah.
When did you move, by the way, Jimmy? Like what year?
2019, tail end of 2019. I moved in with Dragonfly.
So, you lived in Australia up to that point?
Not up to that point. I was born and raised in Surrey, England, which is where I am currently residing.
Oh.
But my parents basically decided we would emigrate around about 2011. It was a big old undertaking. We basically were a bit sick of the economy over here in England, and the weather was getting us down, and there was obviously a big market crash and whatnot. So we needed to sell our house as quickly as possible, basically. So
Right.
we ended up selling it at auction for basically a fraction of the cost that we bought it for initially. But it got us out of the country and over to Australia, and moved over to the west coast of Australia, did my university studies over there, and then I just sort of got bored of the country and just sort of decided, okay, I'm coming back to Blighty now. I've had enough of this, you know.
West Australia is definitely like the less interesting. I don't want to put down West Australia. There's nothing wrong with it, but like if you're coming to Australia, like there's a good chance.
It's all oil. There's just this oil and coal. That's about it.
Yeah. Whereas at like East Coast Australia, there's at least like a good mix of like nicer sort of countryish areas and metropolitan areas. There's a lot of variety on the East Coast that
There's like no music scene on the west coast of Australia.
Oh, that's painful.
That's the thing. Yeah, I was told that there was a flourishing music scene, but then I went to university, and then it turned out everybody who was doing quote unquote music in Western Australia was just getting high all the time and not actually writing music.
Well, yeah,
That's a shame.
It's one thing if they're getting high and actually doing the music, but like they're not. It's just an excuse to.
Well, they're like, banging cats together and calling that art. You know?
Yeah. Wonderful, so high effort, such soul and passion.
It was the worst kind of culture shock I ever got, basically.
Yeah, no, you would have been so much happier in a place like Melbourne or even Sydney, I think.
I unironically watched a 7-minute performance of a guy pushing a soda can into the end of his saxophone and then just blowing through that. That's what they do in WA.
And he didn't like follow it, like he didn't do that as like a fun experimental bit and then go into a cool sax solo. He just did that, right?
He just did that. He was like stuffing it down there. He's making weird sounds just for 7 minutes. That was
Wonderful.
it. That was the whole thing.
Amazing.
And that wasn't the most offensive thing that I ever saw or heard during my uni studies.
Yeah, no, I was lucky. See, when I came here, I was living in Canberra, which is a small town, but it's got the East Coast thing going on. And when I went into the music classes, now this is at the end of like 11th and 12th grade, so not even university level. But there actually were a number of people in the classes who were actual musicians, you know, playing guitar, playing drums, good music and stuff. So I was lucky. That got me into, you know, meeting people in Australian schools, some of which I'm still friends with to this day. Helped lead me down. Like I was already interested. I played guitar a little here and there, and I was already interested in like MIDI and stuff. But meeting those guys and hanging out with them for years really drove me. So it sucks to hear that your experience was people shoving cans and saxophones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I was the one who was like, you know, still painting notes onto a piano roll and actually constructing melodies and chord sequences, and I was the fucking odd one out.
God, that sucks.
Yeah.
See, MtPain, are you still there, MtPain? Your internet?
I am. I'm still here.
Okay, I just want to make sure because, you know,
Just
the connection crap.
once.
But yeah, the first MIDI you ever made was the one you made a few months ago. You told me, didn't you?
No, that's not strictly speaking the first one I've ever made. I did 2 for practice before that in the summer, just trying to figure out how it worked. And the one actually appeared in the Community Chest 1 video. The part where I was digressing and talking about how the grades don't matter, that was my MIDI in the background. Kind of a pleasant little thing.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah,
I'll have to keep an ear out for that bit again.
Yeah, so I'm a newcomer to MIDI, but not really to music. I only took 1 music theory class in college, but more or less taught myself with the help of a couple of YouTube tutorials how to play guitar. Mostly I'm a rhythm guitarist, not terribly great at soloing. I'm not big into the. Oh, Jimmy disconnected again.
Oh no. Did it reset your kill every time? That is just so shit.
It does. It's all right. I literally don't really care. You know.
Yeah, of course. But just like Z-Daemon, I will say whatever we want to say about Z-Daemon, it has an amazing feature where if you reconnect in the middle of a game, it actually keeps your frags intact.
Well,
I think Zandrona might have that out too.
Because you got a profile, right?
Yeah.
It recognizes you when you come back.
With Z-Daemon, yeah, it uses the profile, and with Zandronum, I think it's your IP that it uses.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, yeah. So you were saying that you learned basic music theory in college and stuff, but you mostly were teaching yourself through tutorials and just messing around and stuff.
I would say the music theory class provided me the backbone of basically like what I already knew. It kind of gave me a language to speak about it. And I would say most of the stuff that I have composed, like I can read music very roughly. I read it, but I can sound it out. Basically, I don't speak it. I can
right.
Sound it out.
You've got one up on me then. I can't do that shit.
Really?
Sheet music is like, yeah, no, sheet music. I have some form of dyslexia apparently with sheet music. Like I understand what the notes are, and I know every good boy deserves fun and all that sort of stuff. But like,
yeah,
good God, I can't put it into practice. Like, I just have a real stumbling block with that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to like. I'm saying I would have to basically transcribe it, but I always learned by memorization and like wrote like practicing apart. So
yeah, same.
And then I would have a hard time playing it. Like I've jammed with my one buddy a couple of times, and he has a kind of went to music school and everything, so he's like he's an actual musician. And it's always a little bit awkward for me when I'm trying to improvise because that's like how that's how he plays. But I don't really have that's not really how I do music. I kind of create music in isolation, on my own. Basically create a track and then build upon that over and over again. Yeah, I'm kind of. It's a very MIDI-like process. Like I'm no stranger to let's set up the backing track and let's get a basic chord progression laid out and then let's populate it with different performances and then let's mix it and put it together and ship it. That's more or less how I did my music. before I got into MIDI. And I still wouldn't consider myself a MIDI artist, or really an artist at all anymore. It's been quite a spell since I've written anything.
Anyone who, dude, people who produce like 4 or 5 decent MIDIs and then threw in the towel, they're artists for life. Once you don that, you never un artist, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, I think it will be.
Anyone can map and anyone can music.
Exactly.
Well, I await your
and
video,
taking
Jimmy.
breaks.
That's gonna be the top of my watch list when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll have to get onto it as soon as I can because it's obviously in high demand. Actually, yep.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna quickly say I love the MIDI in this map.
This is a good one, yeah. Oh, already desynced? God damn it.
Oh.
Better at the beginning than midway through.
Yeah, I suppose
sure.
so. Actually.
Only one frag in, yeah. But yeah, MtPain, I actually, just in preparation, I did check out Autograph Suicide Note.
Oh, no way.
And I actually very much enjoyed that, yeah.
The whole album or just that one track?
Full album, yeah.
Wow.
On Bandcamp.
I'm honored. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, no worries, man. Like, you got some bangers on there. You really have. Yeah.
It was so funny when I was talking to MtPain before we actually had spoke a few times. I was talking to him about some very basic music stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I'm kind of a musician, but I'm not really." And I was like, "Oh, well, I threw him some tip about some amp or some crap. I don't even remember the context." And then I heard his music, and I'm like, "What the hell, man? You're an amazing musician."
Well, I think that's an overstatement, but I appreciate the compliment nonetheless.
No, I mean, you've got things like what is it? The first track on there, according to me, that's got a great sort of rhythm to it, and it's obviously you seem to write about pretty sort of intense and personal subject matters, but you also present them in a very sort of digestible light, I suppose, as well, which is a really nice balance to strike. Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's a high.
It's according to me, is great. I really did enjoy.
That was based on a true story.
As well.
I actually did once go into an Applebee's and shoot up people and get killed by cops. That actually happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Okay.
No, just kidding.
Damn. That's impressive.
I actually didn't post that on the other channel because I thought the lyrics were a little over the top, even for me. I might reconsider now that I had another person who a regular viewer found Autograph Suicide or found according to me and liked it, so I might change my mind.
Yeah, you dude. The intense or strange or very what do you say? Let's just say intense for the lyrics. That's a good thing. I like that. That adds to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't shy away from showing people awesome songs because you're worried that the lyrics might be a little too intense, I guess is what I'm driving at.
Fair enough. It's mostly just hyperbolic. I wouldn't even say it's I don't think anybody would take them seriously. The one I'm more afraid that people will take seriously is the How Drunk one, because that is a little more personal, but also a little bit hyperbolized, because it's every songwriter kind of has a persona, and that's the persona that I chose that day, so... Anyway,
well, everything's got to be a little bit exaggerated in song or poetry, just by its nature,
For sure.
Because if you say things as let's say, oh my god, that's so lame. As if you say things as downplayed as they really are, as you recount them, it loses flavor. You got to add spice. You put spice on it. You got to that's one thing I like about music and lyrics specifically in music is it's an interesting place to use I feel like hyperbole in a script for a play or a show can be really ridiculous at times, but in a song it can add so much. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And songwriting is about exploring language too, which I think I actually don't do enough when I write lyrics. My lyrics are more utilitarian than they ought to be. My writing, on the other hand, gets kind of flowery. I actually I keep a ruler on my desk to wrap my own knuckles when I use overly large words in Dean of Doom. I tend to pick, you know, impressive vocabulary word type, you know, word selections when I don't have a lot to say. That's a bad habit of mine, so I'm trying to undo that.
You don't want to do the thing where it sounds like I've run out of ideas, so allow me to proceed to sniff my farts.
Yeah, here. Let me open my thesaurus. You know.
I'm out.
It can be used for you can lean into that intentionally for comedy at times, though, which
sure.
is funny.
Which I'm pretty sure I've done before. Anyway, speaking of Bandcamp, Jimmy, way back when I downloaded your and paid for your Sigil album, which is I think still one of the most cohesive pieces, like collections of Doom music out there. Like it's the perfect length because it's for a single episode. This is actually something I've wanted to look up before but never definitively found out. I know you didn't write all of those for Sigil. I mean, did you write any of them?
Yeah.
You didn't write any of them for Sigil, did you? Like specifically?
Just the title and the intermission track.
That's what I thought.
Those were done bespoke.
So where did Hate Machine come from? That's my favorite.
That was a speed MIDI project.
No
Yeah,
way.
Hate Machine was from 30 and 30 number 2.
Okay.
I wrote it in about 45 minutes.
No way. That's crazy to me. It's instantly
the opening
catchy
riff
and driving and powerful and just
dun, 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 dun,
just gets
you're
you-
ready to
It's like,
fucking
yeah.
immediately.
I know, just a few notes and you're like ready to play some fucking Doom. It's awesome. I love it. It's immortal. That easel, and what the hell's the other one? I mean, I actually really like the one from Map 7. Watching You, I love that one as well. I mean, I love
Watching
them all,
You, yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to express my admiration for that whole album.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. I'm still so stoked that I even got to be a part of Sigil in the first place. It's just so bloody surreal.
Yeah, what a thrill.
That's cool, man.
Romero reached out via Facebook of all things, and it's just like, hey Jimmy, excellent midis, mate. You know?
Old man Romero.
Man, I see. It's if I would have, you know, Facebook would not be the optimal way to get in touch with me because the more years go on, the more I'd like draw away from Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think the fact that he reached out for Facebook, like, it's just further proof that LinkedIn is completely obsolete at this point.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The fact that he would choose Facebook over that.
Yeah, not even Twitter, which is also used for plenty of business inquiries and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's funny. A couple times people have wanted me to help with like a video or just something, and it was more professional in nature. It wasn't just like someone being like, hey, help me with my Doom map. Like I had a guy who was from Vice who wanted me to help him capturing footage of Marine Doom, like this old thing that soldiers used where it's like you start with 25 health and you're not allowed to click the run key. So it makes it more realistic to like the speed and health you'd have in an actual battle, you know, for Doom standards, that is.
like a simulator, right?
And what was that?
You said like it's like a combat simulator basically for them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was an attempt at you know, a military trainer back when computers were still so primitive compared to now.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got me to get footage for him, and he contacted me through my Doom World profile because on my channel I've got a few links, but the only one that leads to some, like, there's a donation link and like a, you know, some of my Doom player profiles and stuff. The only one where you can actually send me a message is Doom World, so I'm glad that he like bothered to create a Doom World account and get in touch with me.
That's crazy.
That's pretty great. I like that.
I was like thinking I should probably I still haven't done it. I need to. I should probably make a inquiries email and just put it on my channel at this point. Because you know, reaching out through Facebook just reminded me of like getting messaged through Doom World. And it's a good thing that good thing you were checking your Facebook regularly at that point, or at least somewhat regularly.
Yeah, it was a real mom get the camera moment, I'll be honest.
It's fun. That's one thing I do love about Romero. Like, yeah, of course, he's one of the main brains behind Doom, but even aside from that, he's always been so cool with like just interacting with fans. I mean, getting you to do the sigil sound or like, compiling MIDIs for it, that's an amazing thing. But even beyond
Yeah.
that, like he was just always talking to people and responding to emails and stuff. It's so cool. So many developers and stuff from back then don't really follow up on that. They kind of like distance themselves from their old lives, so to speak. Really glad Romero ended up staying like, with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's just so chill, and he just involves himself so closely with the community when he can.
Such a cool way to do things.
I feel like that was.
I'm not really sure what's going on with Sigil 2 at the moment, but we'll have
yeah.
to wait and see on that front, I suppose.
I feel like after.
It's funny.
Go ahead, Doomkid.
I was just gonna say I downloaded the preview map that he made, but I still need to actually beat it. I haven't. What were you gonna say, MtPain?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think after Doom 1, when Deathmatch was invented, basically by Romero, or at least popularized by him, I think he kind of lived for Doom as he might have been one of the originators of the idea of Doom as a community, because he was so invested in the PvP element of the game. I mean, sure, he liked designing single player monsters, but holy cow, did he kind of catalyze the idea of let's do battle against each other.
It's absolutely no stretch. You would be wrong to call anyone else the godfather of deathmatch. Put it that way.
For sure.
I really like that about Romero. And the thing, there's even further proof of that, MtPain, is that on the old Usenet posts, which are archived now, you can see him releasing like intermission shareware builds and stuff, like really trying to like stoke the flames, so to speak, by engaging with people in a good way. I mean, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And like there was the whole thing, like there's some people who theorize that this person wasn't even real, but there was a guy named Eric Yik Leung who like had a public beef with him and would have like death matches where he just lost by a hair and stuff like that. And some people theorize that it was actually like a friend of Romero's or something, just pretending to be like a antagonist, shall we say?
Yeah, like a UFC
or maybe
fight,
even. Yeah, exactly. Oh, oops. But yeah, anyway,
I saw that.
I thought it was just really cool how he was always just such a, not only the guy who helped to make the game, one of the main pieces of the pie of the creation of the game, but such a community voice too. Because Carmack was ready to move to the next thing technologically after Doom was done.
Although Carmack,
Romero
in his own way, is, I mean, the same way as he's the other piece of Doom, is like where like the infrastructure of Doom as an idea, he gave the community the source code, and paved the way for the source port era. So he also was super community minded, and he fostered community innovation and expansion on existing property. He's about as open-minded and democratic as you can get when it comes to intellectual property.
Yeah, that's so true. That's funny. A lot of people, including myself just a minute ago, forget to credit that even though Carmack didn't necessarily, deathmatch with people regularly and whatever else, he did. He was really crucial in Doom's longevity. Like, see, people would still be playing now, but the modding would be so much more difficult.
Yeah.
So he was really the fact that two of the main guys behind Doom, in fact, most of the team, it seems, were so open-minded to like continuing sharing their ideas and like engaging with people here and there. That's just such a good thing. Sandy as well, even though he's less of a tech guy, Sandy also is never shied away from talking to people who wanted to ask him things or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I really like that. It was made by the right crew at the right time.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, definitely. And we wouldn't have like the indie games on the GZ Doom engine that we do today if that hadn't happened as well.
That's such a good point. So many like things that are independent that don't require the Doom IWADs actually run on GZ Doom. So yeah, God, I mean, imagine having to use like a hacked version of the vanilla exe that ran in Windows. That would suck so much by comparison.
Well, there is Wrecker, isn't there, which runs on vanilla Doom?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I guess that does prove that even then there probably still would have been a few, but it's just so much easier with the source code and GZ Doom and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
We just killed player 3 times in a row.
Player, he's you got a bullet with his name on it.
He's
It says
pretty good.
player etched into the shells.
He's kicking our asses.
Is he? He's way ahead of us, is he? Oh yeah, he is too. Well, he's pretty far ahead, yeah. I like this blue star skybox, by the way. I swear I've seen this texture used in so many WADs.
Oh yeah, it is. It's quite pretty.
It's very 90s.
I love something about blue stars. Just feels good in a Doom. I don't know what it is.
No, I love it as well. I've got a blue starry sky that I'm using in Earthless, which is going to be for the Moon episode, and that's going to be that's a really lovely sort of combination, like yellow, white cliff sides and blue water with a blue starry sky. I love that combination.
Oh, so nice visually. And by the way, that WAD sounds like it's going to be a shoe-in for the DW Moon WAD Club.
Oh my god, yeah. I love that.
True that.
What an idea. The Moon
The
Walk Club.
DW Moon WAD. I laughed out loud when I first saw that thread title alone.
Except the thing is, it works like
That's
not just as a goofy thing, but there are, first of all, a shit ton of moon-themed Doom WADs, and it's also just like a really kind of pure and beautiful idea. I love it.
It's moon and to like on a wider scope space is like that's like a fifth of friggin' Doom maps, oddly. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't Doom.
So-
the first episode of Doom takes place on a moon, does it not?
I mean, it's funny because they were so close to using a black sky
Really?
with the mountain range. Yeah,
man.
yeah, like the press release beta that's like 2 months before the final release is using a brown mountain range with like a black space sky rather than,
Nah,
the green and gray.
I like the daytime.
That's the one that they wound up cropping for F Sky 1. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, I
It's
know what you
funny. Even though mountains in China don't make any sense on the moon, it looks so nice. It gives the episode such like a homey, nice, like you're exploring this pretty little. Even though it's not that pretty, but it's a pretty sky. You know what I mean?
That's supposed
Well,
to be
yeah, like, who's
the
to say they
marketing.
didn't terraform Phobos to have giant grassy hills, you know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
anything is possible.
That's right. But I'm glad they didn't.
Especially in the year 2022.
Yeah, 2020, the distant and spooky year of 2022.
The year that Doom is in, supposedly, according to SNES Doom, I think.
Was
And
that the
certain
one?
weird and certain weird nerds on the internet.
It's funny because I knew I'd seen an official box that said 2022 on it somewhere, but or manual or something. But I kept looking through different like PC boxes and manuals. I was like, where does that snippet come from? Finally, I realized it was from the SNES box, which also has some other weird and not even correct stuff that it says, if I remember.
They just added it, made it up.
Yeah, that's funny. Whoever did the SNES Doom box and like manual and stuff, they were getting pretty creative. I will give them that.
Making their mark on
Taking
Doom
some
history.
artistic liberties.
Yeah,
What was that?
making their mark on Doom history.
Yeah, they really did because people are so. I feel like I don't know if it's the Marvel extended universe or whatever that has caused people to feel this way, or if it's just a side effect of that. But people want things desperately to fit into like a storyline that makes sense and has like a prequel
Yeah.
and back. You know what I mean? Like
That's just the comic book ethos, I think. It's definitely become normalized with Marvel, but it's always kind of been there in the comic underbelly. The comic. What am I trying to look? The subculture. Subculture is the word I'm looking for. Not underbelly.
the drug-infested Skid Row of the comic underbelly.
The skeevy underbelly of comics now.
But it's funny because as a kid, I kind of wanted to know more about the Doom guy's backstory and stuff as well. But then seeing it go from a million different theories to actual canonization, in one way, it almost closes the door on potentialities in a certain sense, which is, I like that they've given him like a more fleshed out story, but at the same time, I kind of like the door being open to filling in the blanks, you know?
Well, it kind of is and it
Well,
isn't.
for me, it always, yeah, yeah. Like for me, it was always like Doom Guy is you, like you are the Doom Guy, and
Yep.
that's what they wanted, I think, out of the original game.
Yeah, or at very least it doesn't
Oh,
really
man,
matter, and you can kind of choose how you want to interpret. You can make up your own backstory for him.
Yeah. See, I always thought of just, it's funny because I think it was less Doom 4. I had to make sure I didn't ignore someone who said they love my vids. It was so rude. Yeah. Oh, I totally got sidetracked. You guys,
Your
if
ego.
you guys had anything in mind, you say it. That threw my train of thought off.
You're still blushing.
Yeah, I got stuck in an internal blush, and it just threw everything off the rails.
I should say, what about our vids? Player, what about
Yeah.
what about
Yeah.
what about
I'm here
We
with
all make
Jimmy
vids
now.
here.
what about us, player?
Yeah, getting singled out even among other Doom creators.
Oh, it's a high compliment.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Jimmy. I
Like,
mean, this guy's definitely played at least 3 or 4 maps that have Jimmy's midis, and he didn't even know it.
For sure.
I crave validation from the anonymous player.
Damn it, player! Tell me you like my content.
Yeah, my
Oh,
like,
I know.
5 or 6 videos about Doom on my channel.
Yeah, yeah. People know you, of course, as a musician and a mapper. That's your two mainstays, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's funny on the note of we were talking about MIDI stuff earlier. I need to get past the point of I need to figure out how to put less than whole notes down in Sakaiju. All my MIDIs are just collections of whole notes. Need to get into the more complex.
That's unfortunate. Can you imagine that? Just Doomkid's drone MIDI album?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little, but most of my MIDIs
Yeah.
really are just very simplistic in nature. And sometimes it can be creepy and effective, but sometimes I want to do a little more, and I know my scales and like my actual, quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, all that stuff. I'm fine with that. But I can put it into practice. If I'm playing a guitar, I can like whip out a little, minor scale solo or blues scale solo. And it's decent, it's paddle. It's not like I'm going to shred anyone's face off, but it's decent guitar playing. But then when it comes to writing a MIDI, it's like, oh god, I've got to arrange a solo as these little cubes of music or little squares of each little square is a note. It's funny because it sounds like it's the opposite of what Jimmy has, where he's like, he was saying the music theory is a bit tough for him, but yet he's making these awesome sounding MIDIs. You know what I mean? I don't have any problem with the theory, but actually making a cool MIDI is where the hard part comes in.
Right, sometimes, yeah, you can just, like, stare at a blank canvas and it's, the most ominous thing in the world. Like, it's like, oh god, I have so much opportunity, I have so much choice, what do I do here?
So many notes, so many instruments.
I find that I get paralyzed with choice super easily when I have, like, when I have an actual DAW to work with, when I'm given all that choice of all the possible instruments in the known universe, and all of the dials and knobs and gates and envelope filters and stuff like that that come with the territory of digital audio, I'm like, where do I fucking start?
Yeah. So much choice.
I've been, like, wrestling with the idea of making an album this time, but it's still it's still not quite there yet.
Please do. That would be amazing.
We should do
it
some
will happen
weird.
eventually.
I would love to do a thing just for. I mean, in a most strict sense, Jimmy and I actually did make a MIDI that was concocted of different ideas. Mostly Jimmy, but there was a few riffs by me in there as well. But I would like to do just for fun and with no time. This was something where we had to do it quick as well. Something with no time restraints or like rules where we can just like maybe play hot potato with a MIDI sometime, write a riff and then pass it between us, and over the course of however long and relaxed it takes, get something made that would be cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
all three of us know music after all. We should do something collaborative. That'd be fun.
I like that.
Just a single song even.
I'd be down for that.
I like that idea
Yeah,
very much.
that's pretty much how I did it all for with Shoeboy and I's collaborations. So he and I obviously worked on Prototype, which wound up in Valiant and a couple of other things. Genesis is, I think, the first canon appearance of Prototype, and then it happened that a lot of people really like that MIDI, which I agree with, because it was just a ton of fun to work on, and like I think me and Stu just had a ton of fun working on it.
That's good, because like Stu Boy, I mean, he had such adventurous music. I think MtPain and I were actually talking about this on a previous one we did. How
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what else to use to describe his style other than that. It's really like it's something that I'd love to be able to create, but. What did you say?
Virtuosic. I think Stu Boy has all the things that we spoke about. Like
Yeah.
all of our strengths, he has them. He's got the music theory. He can actually play. He's a percussionist. He plays, I think, xylophone, marimba type stuff like that. And he's just
Timpani, I think, mainly is.
yeah. He plays. I've looked on his SoundCloud. He's got a couple like he plays. What do you call it? Melodic percussion. But he
Play with an actual like orchestra.
I am not
Yeah,
sure.
he plays in a few ensembles, I think.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right. But basically, he's his style is such an unlikely pair with Doom. I feel like he uses MIDI mostly because it gives him kind of the ability to conduct an entire orchestra from his bedroom, as it were.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You've got a group of 16 channels or musicians or whatever you want to think of them as at your beck and call, so to speak.
Yeah.
That is
As
the
long as you
maximum
abide
for
by
MIDI,
certain
right?
polyphony limits.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What do you know offhand? Because you're a bit more of a MIDI expert, Jimmy. Do you know offhand what the typical like polyphone limit is, like that you would want to get to for, say, just something that you want to be listenable on any old hardware? Like how many notes?
I think it keeps going down over time because Microsoft just don't bother to maintain the MIDI format, like the general MIDI standards, right, on their OSs. So it used to be, I think, 64 voices, and now it's just gone down to 32 for whatever reason. It's
Oh
something
my
like
God. That might actually explain why some of the channels are muted on some of those older MIDIs that used to sound good.
Yeah, a ton of Stu Boy's MIDIs got absolutely murdered because of it.
That's terrible.
So was that in? They've downgraded yet again. Is that basically it?
It's certainly gotten worse over time. I don't know how many times it's gone down, but yeah, I am finding occasionally, oh, there's a polyphony overflow on this MIDI that I wrote like 5 years ago that I didn't notice. So maybe there is something continuously going downward.
I guess that's a strong argument to use VMS with that Roland GM sound font like we were talking about earlier as well, because like at least you're gonna hear all the voices at once. The MIDI's not gonna get totally friggin', kneecapped by that limit. Dude, Ralphus came in just to sort of show us all who's boss.
Player's still kicking our asses though somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, GG.
Did you guys want to take a quick little 5-minute stretch and take a breather?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate if we could cut this part out. Like if we could edit this part out, because I'd rather not have this monopolized.
No, I'm gonna leave in you. I'm gonna leave in you lamenting your tech problems, and we'll just sit here.
Well,
I'm kidding. No, I'll cut them out.
all right. Well, I'm gonna have to leave the call again for a second because I gotta close this down, and I'll be. Anyway, let's try to bring this thing home. I hit record for hopefully the final time, and I guess I'll jump back in.
Okay.
Sorry to distract again. My computer's hot to the touch too, so I'm sure it's partially the strain on the system.
Do you have an external fan by any chance?
No. That would be a good idea, though, wouldn't it?
I probably need one of those as well. Mine's getting hot.
Oof.
One of those little USB fans. Those help so much.
I'll bet.
I needed one of those over when I lived in Australia. It was such a ridiculously hot environment over there.
I'm so stunned to learn you only moved there in 2011, Jimmy. I could have sworn you lived there back in like 2007, but obviously you were in still in the UK at that time.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I can see a dummy green marine just running in place. It's really offsetting.
My Doom guy really likes this wall. He doesn't want to leave this wall. He's very much attached to this wall.
I'm pretty sure I saw like a corpse sliding around at incredible speed earlier around as well.
I have a magnificent invisible rocket firing rocket launcher. It puffs and it huffs and it puffs and it fires invisible rockets.
Dude, I hate firing blanks so much. It's one of the worst.
I'm just gonna wait for this round to count out. I think I can't do anything.
Wait, you can't do anything?
When I said
just can't move?
When I said my guy was attached to the wall, I meant literally he does not want to move from this wall.
You can't respawn?
You just walked
like right-clicking?
You just walked through me.
Oh my god. That's so strange. Wait.
Yeah.
I want to try and kill you on your end.
I'm by the rocket launcher in the chainsaw. Nope. Are you
dead yet?
I'm invincible.
No sign of any MtPain here. Yeah.
I'm invincible, lol.
I can't even kill your corpse.
The rockets are going right through me. I've transcended.
That was the G'est of G's right there.
It was a game. It was G.
Yeah, G. Good game.
Alright, now I'm back for whatever reason.
Now, is everything functioning for you this time?
Yes. Dim guy got over his attachment issues.
His wall addiction.
His wall addiction. He's a wallaholic.
This actually has a pretty cool layout, this map here.
This one's actually got like open spaces.
Yeah.
That last one was just a whole bunch of bloody corridors.
Yeah, I felt like there was a big change in tone in a good way from the mapping.
Actually, is this a Painkeep map? This looks very familiar layout-wise.
Yeah, it looks. I like this layout a lot, though. I gotta say, it reminds me of some of the.
It's a very Quakey layout.
Yeah, it's got that Quake vibe seeping into it.
I like the metal textures.
I do love the Gothic textures, but I find that after like 9 or 10 maps of them straight, I'm ready for a different set of textures.
That's fair.
I don't know if anyone else has that. You know what I mean?
Well, like
yeah.
Like Scythe 2 only has, it changes the whole its theme every 5 levels. I think that's a brilliant setup for a Mega one.
See, that's the smart way to do it. Whereas, like, I felt with Gothic DM 1 and 2 and the Onslaught death matches, I like all them. Like, in a vacuum, I think all the maps are at least pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some bad ones here and there, but like, they're good WADs. But the theme, I'm like, oh my god, red sky and metal textures again. I'm ready for blue skies and like woody textures or something. You know what I mean? Like
variation. Actually, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned the need for variation because I was just about to say on my Doom bucket list, I one day would like to run a community project that is entirely dedicated to slime tech bases. like in the style of Darkwave and BPRD. Like every single map, I want to be a slimy tech base. Like give me your best Sedgemeyer, or give me your best Dreamscape, Mucus Flow, or Gutter Grave.
Yeah, of course.
Secretly, what I'm hoping is to tease Darkwave out of his semi-retirement so he can make a map for a community project that I run. And I want to come up with a clever name for it. But it'd be funny because...
It's slime time.
Something like that. Basically lighthearted, but... Oh, and I have another idea for a community project that I run by you guys. It would be probably the hardest community... Like, it would give Community Chest 4 a run for its money in terms of hard, like, lengthy... what do you call it? A magnum opus syndrome maps. The idea is it's a Drake O'Brien inspired Megawad. Give me your best overlong, hugely overscaled TNT-esque map that's inspired by MtPain, Central Processing, and Administration Center.
Administration Center. That sounds awful. We should do it.
I actually...
I would call it the Drake O'Brien Ovational Megawad, which is Doom. D-O-O-M.
Oh, Drake O'Brien. Wow, that works. Just put like a D.O.O. That would be perfect.
Yeah,
man.
we just call it Doom and say, it's a community project, the Doom community project.
That's a...
But both of those ideas are terrible community projects. You basically would only you'd only be able to play like 1 or 2 maps at a time in each of those, because the Drake O'Brien ones, I'm encouraging really, really long, sloggy maps, like back to back to back to back. If that was a full megawatt of that, it'd be almost unplayable.
If you did that, you could do an episode. If you come up with a third idea, you could do a 3-episode thing. Be like, hey, because it's you'll get at least a few mappers because of name recognition. And then from that point on, you could do a Slime episode, do a O'Brien episode. You know what I mean?
Okay, I like that idea, but I'm also me, and that would basically be me saying, "Hey guys, make maps that I like for me." That's a little bit too self-indulgent. You know what I mean?
Isn't that how most community projects start?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you make 1 or 2 maps and actually get the resources ready for people, then then at that point you've satisfied as long as you make good choices from then on, you've satisfied your role as like the guider of the project, so to speak.
That's fair. And again, this is Doom bucket list. I have no intention of doing this on short notice. But
it's just, I just don't want you to feel detracted from, or not detracted is not the right word, but I don't want you to feel discouraged from leading a community project because it's like, oh, everyone else does all the work. It's like, yeah, well, in Rowdy Rudy 2, I made 4 maps, and Raymond
no, that would be the point. I would want to make maybe 1 map or 2 maps, and then I want everybody to do the work. That's the point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Aside from the curating and editing and stuff like that, I would clearly want to run the project. But seeing what people come up with would be all of the fun.
Yeah, that's right, because it's so many different perspectives coming together into one wad. And man, I don't know, I could say, like, everyone has their own style, of course. But because the themes have a certain uniformity to them, I felt like the last few community projects I've run, I've gotten pretty cohesive results, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Despite so many different voices in the choir. It's a nice way for things to go,
The slime-based community project was more of a joke, but I do genuinely think that Drake O'Brien is wildly underappreciated, and his maps, like, he goes for this big sweeping cinematic experience in every one of his maps. They all are like crawls through the inner workings of some place. I think Administration Center is the most boring one. But MtPain, it's like, where am I? And then you kind of emerge into this huge outdoor area. You emerge into the huge outdoor area in Central Processing. And I absolutely love Central Processing.
It's so funny because I think it's a Gene Bird map that has like a big outdoor area, and you said it looked like balls.
Oh, no. But that's just... No, Doomkid. Doomkid. Let's not start on Gene Bird. Let's not start on Gene Bird. That large garish...
That's a whole can of worms.
That large garish courtyard that I mocked in the video is just one step on your journey through Gene Bird's mind, the inimitable Gene Bird's imagination. I'm talking about, like, Drake O'Brien's maps are like encased in that big outdoor area. It's like you discover that the map you've been playing is the small part of a much larger whole, and MtPain itself gets revealed in the end of MtPain in that way, and it's to me still basically my defining experience with the game as a youngster. It's kind of like realizing
sounds like more cohesive and more deliberate in terms of the way the map was designed.
Well, it's got a sense of drama to it, as opposed to I'm not inherently impressed by big open areas. The other thing that I really do like about O'Brien's mapping is he likes to kind of it's hard to explain maybe to put into words exactly what I mean by he leads you through a sort of I need to like stop playing for a second. Central processing is made up of a bunch of parts that don't necessarily fit together. You get it's sort of a tech base at the start. It's like an office, and there's Doomkid and all that, and there's the red textures. But you're kind of like there's all kinds of little coves that I never discovered until like the BFG. I never found the BFG in central processing until like the 10th time I played that map. There's lots of little things to be discovered. And then there's that weird dark corridor with the invulnerability, and you kind of like he just has a strange way of introducing you to different parts of the level, and I think when people talk glowingly about Sandy Peterson's ability to put abstractions together, that's kind of Drake O'Brien for me. Those abstract rooms don't make any sense necessarily together, but they did in a I don't know, maybe it's my kid brain speaking.
You filled in a lot of it's hard to look past that as well, because like you're saying, I remember you and I mentioned the thing of certain childlike wonder with the earlier Doom maps you play.
Yeah,
fills in some of the blanks that, you know, as an adult coming to it with fresh would be like, what is this shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be very. I mean, I say I wouldn't be very impressed, but I just played a map in Nova 2 by what was his name? I think it's called
Was it Anmut's map you're thinking of?
No, that's close. It's that was the same Megawad. I think Obake made a map called Hated Attic that I said Drake O'Brien would be proud.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it's very, very TNT-like, but in a Drake O'Brien kind of way. It was definably like big open spaces and kind of weird abstractions glued together in a way that didn't make total sense. But I really liked it as an experimental. Like it was off the beaten track, and I'm saying that was I looked at that, you know, in adulthood, actively trying to grade it, and I liked it. So I think it's quite possible that if Drake O'Brien came out of hibernation somehow, some way, and made more maps, I probably would like them.
Right. It wasn't just the fact, like, there's a nostalgia aspect, sure, but it wasn't just that. Like, there was actually some real, true entertainment and design value there as well.
And I also won't say that it's like, you know, Drake O'Brien's maps are not love at first sight for me. I still don't like Administration Center, and MtPain took quite a while to get over my feeling intimidated going into it, but always was swept off my feet by.
It won you over time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm saying I think his maps are an acquired taste, but that would be very interesting to see an entire megawad's worth of big ideas writ large, like as large as people wanted. With the goal being not necessarily like 1,000 monsters, but like large maps with like not tremendous monster densities, with an emphasis on taking the player on a journey. And with some kind of big reveal at the end. That would be really cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. See, that is. If you told people specifically, like let's say if I was making this as a community project, what I would do would be in the opening post, I would explain that I want a large map, but I don't mean necessarily, it can be filled here and there, but I don't necessarily mean large and full of monsters. I mean large in a sense that it takes you somewhere and you feel like you're going somewhere in a grander sense, let's say.
Yeah,
I'd find some way to word that better. You know what I mean?
Huge unexplored or forgotten
maps that I can get myself lost in.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that could actually start off a trend of like in the style of community projects. I was just thinking when you said, Jimmy, getting lost in maps, you like maps you can get lost in. The first one I always think of is Misery Halak by Kim Andre Malda.
Oh.
And holy shit,
of course.
Wouldn't it be cool if we had some kind of Kim Andre Malda tribute WOD? Doesn't necessarily need to be a megawatt even. It could be 15, 20 maps. Like THT Threnody might be the perfect length. 20 maps might be the perfect length for a megawatt. Because
20 maps is a satisfying length, man. I tell you.
And then and then you can have the text screen be your ending from 20 to 21, and 21 can be the credits map. It always pans out really nicely that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
just
spitballing those ideas out there.
No, those are good ideas. I like those. I on the note of 20 map megawatts. Since I got 55 maps all up submitted with Jamal Jones one man jury, I'm gonna go ahead and divide it into. I'm gonna like get them all organized, and then there'll be 5 spaces open where I might make 1 or 2 more maps and get someone else to make another couple maps just to fill in the blanks and end up with 3 20 map megawatts from one project, which would be really cool. Yeah,
very nice.
So I'm
3 episodes.
So it's gonna be the first title is gonna be something like, you know, Jamal Jones judging evil, and then it's gonna be one man jury, and then it's gonna be you know, something to do with executioner. I haven't worked out the third title yet.
I love it.
It'll be judge, jury, and executioner. You know what I mean, for all 3 episodes.
It's like
So it was some of this I got to credit to Cammy, because he suggested rather than one big humongo wad, you know, get divided up, and I think that's actually a good idea.
And you can evenly divide out the smaller maps, few in number as they are, and the mega maps, because some of them are pretty intimidating. I saw a lot of your videos that your playthrough videos were like, you know, 1 hour 10, and it's 2 maps or 1 map.
Yeah. It's funny because it feels like taking 2 months and change to play 55 maps sounds like a long time, but 30 of those maps were like pretty dang long.
For sure.
Did you 100% all those maps as well, Doomkid?
Oh no. I told people going in, like, I looked for secrets and stuff. I wasn't just zipping through it or anything. You know, I wanted to get the proper experience of playing the map while wanting to take it in. Because I remember I watched Joel had so many maps submitted to a contest he run, the Vine Cell Sky, like years and years ago.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he had to speed run them to get through it, like this side of 2030. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So
yeah.
I was like, I wanted to take the long approach of like not 100%ing it, but also like making sure I look around and actually take the map in. You know, and that's what's part of that is why it's taken so long, and it's like 90% of my dooming time in those few months where I was playing the game was recording, you know? So it's just, it sucks not being able to do it anymore. But anyway, going back to the thing of 20 maps being a satisfying number, yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
It would be a good thing to shoot for.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think we need to, like, change the definition of megawatt to encompass, you know, more map sets that are just in that sort of general area, and not have it so that, you know, the 32 level standard is like almost like fetishized.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people say, and I don't press them on it because I just don't get it, but like, say like if a map is less than 32 if a wad is less than 32 maps, it feels incomplete. And I'm like, but if it's got like an ending screen or even like a map that feels satisfying at the end, like that's a good ending, you know? It doesn't have to go on and on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'd say Lost Civilization, for example, is a full megawatt, wouldn't you?
Yes, I definitely.
No question.
I called it a megawatt.
From my perspective, yes.
Definitely.
I because people are so finicky about the definition, I like to use the term episode, especially because Doom calls them episodes as well. So it's like people know it's more than one map and it's like a full experience, but it might not be a full megawatt.
I do like the word episode. I should use that more often. I just use map set, to be honest.
That works.
Oh yeah, maps. Yeah, that conveys pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think
episode. I like that one because it feels like it's part of a sequence or a story or something. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I just my informal definition of a megawatt is kind of anything like 20 maps or more. I call it a megawatt.
Yeah,
more or less.
I've made lots of episodes, not so many megawads. You know what I mean? I think, like, as far as solo works go, I think I only have 1 megawad to my name, and it's my least, the wad I like least looking back.
Doomkid's Mega?
Oh no, that's not. Even though it's called Doomkid's Mega, it's only 7 or 8 maps. So it's definitely just an episode.
What's your Megawad then? Is it Devil's Work?
It's Revenge of the Night. No, that's an episode as well. Oh, that's 7 maps.
Nice.
Yeah, Revenge of the 90s is 21 maps, and it's like just a hodgepodge of ideas. Some of which are cool, and some of which not so much.
I'm reminded all of a sudden, Doomkid, of your probably the very first thing that I ever played by you, which was all the way back in 2006, I think. I'm talking Doomkid's Adventure, or whatever it was.
Oh my.
Oh, Doomkid Planet, oh my god.
Oh, Doomkid Planet, that's the one. There we go, yeah. The one where you had your player skin character as the in-game character, yeah.
With, like, cartoony sprites and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm glad that there's
Donkey
someone
Kong
out.
Midis, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad someone out there remembers that. That WAD, like a somewhat incomplete version of that WAD, did manage to survive the test of time. I'm kind of, even though the maps are like, some are fun, some not so much, but I'm glad that it at least exists still. Yeah, that's definitely one thing I remember. That would have been through Skulltag Online and stuff, probably way back when.
Oof.
I spoke, speaking of old community members, I did speak to Kitty recently, if you remember her at all.
Oh, right, yeah. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Actually, I was running through some old Deathmatch and CTF map sets, and the Relentless Beating clan had a couple of really cool map sets back in the day. They're pretty dated now, but
yeah.
I remember Metalhead and Kitty and Chain. Chain is still around, I know. And there's a few other names as well. I hadn't, yeah, Grim as well. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of names I went over, and it was like, yeah, that was a lot of nostalgia for me, strangely enough.
It's good. It's funny. I figured you'd probably have some nostalgia for that era. That's because that's when I first remember meeting you out in the wild.
I mean, we like effectively met on Sabbat Martyr, didn't we?
Yeah, that was pretty like where the majority. Because I remember on the Skulltag forums back when they were a thing, you know, both of us, of course, and many other community members as well, posting like screenshots and just of progress and stuff. Yeah, wow. Funny old memories that are all gone. Carnival
I know that
forums.
yeah, that was a whole fucking slew of drama. I know that Capelli has like pilfered a couple of resources from Sabbat Martyr for Insanity Deathmatch.
Yeah, he's put my my old cartoony skin in there, which I found so funny.
A couple of the bots as well. The Fluff Dude
The
from the
fluff
rejected cartoon.
This is bleeding.
Wait, from the Don Hertzfeld
Yeah,
cartoon?
how's a playable skin Insanity now?
Oh my god, that's,
Yeah, the Don Hertzfeld, yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, there was lots of old internet culture references. Well, that they weren't old; they were current at the time.
You know that?
But it's kind of a time capsule.
You know that video, the My Anus is Bleeding, is an Academy Award nominated short film?
Is it genuinely Academy Award nominated?
Yes.
I thought that was a joke.
No, it's an Academy Award nominated short film.
I believe you, but like, part of me feels like you're fucking with me. I do believe you.
I'm really not. You can look it up. It's pretty mind blowing because it's
so
like
funny.
it was more of an internet sensation than it was like actually getting Oscar buzz. But it's...
I mean, it was a funny video, but I saw plenty of videos on par with it at the time.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't end funny. It ends like really existential and crazy, and it's actually also amazingly well shot and well done. If you look at it, at the ending at least, the beginning is bizarre.
I need to go and rewatch that because I just remember that being like, my spoon is too big.
Well, that's the beginning. The ads just get more and more demented, and then at a certain point, there's like a black hole, like a black hole that sucks all of his creations down into a screaming abyss. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's trippy.
It's been since like 2006 since I've watched this. I need to go remember it again.
You definitely should.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I forgot about all of that.
Because I remember thinking it was a meme.
Maybe
too,
it is
basically.
deserving of the nomination after all, huh?
But yeah. Don Hertzfeldt is oh my god, I can't speak. He is the creator of one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time as well. It's Such a Beautiful Day is in the same art style, but it's longer.
Right.
It's comprised of 3 20-minute movies that were kind of stitched together to make a feature film. Pretty much, yeah, I would say either my second or third favorite movie of all time. It took me completely.
Yeah,
by
I'll have to
surprise.
watch that. Oh, what was it called?
It's Such a Beautiful Day. It was
I'll watch that sometime.
It was on Netflix for a while, and it starts off. There's a little bit of his brand of humor in there, and then it gets quite serious. The guy is quite spiritual, which begs the question: why did he create a piece of popcorn? Crying my anus is bleeding. Like that's the real question. That's the real question for the ages.
Well,
didn't that guy also create one of like a Simpsons couch gag that was really
Yes!
weird and existential as well?
That was him.
It sounds like the kind of thing.
Yeah, Don Hertzfeldt is pretty high on my list of like you ask your theoretical dinner party guests, and you could invite anybody to dinner, alive or dead. He's my alive guy. He's my alive pick.
Oh wow.
Just funny that came up. So it was about a deathmatch skin, right?
Yeah, that's right. I do like the idea of the hypothetical dinner party. I haven't really considered that before. It's a.
I mean, I actually neither have I, but I just realized that would be a good answer to the if you could ask somebody invite somebody living or dead, who would you pick? A lot of people say Abraham Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln. Nah, I could find way more interesting characters than him.
Well, you'd invite Zappa.
He's so documented. Like everything about him is so well documented.
I'm saying you definitely want to talk to Frank Zappa, right?
Oh, definitely. I think from watching a lot of his interviews, I know a way that I could speak to him that wouldn't, because some people were kind of like, especially because that era and culture was different. I think it would be almost easier for a figure like him in the modern era, because a lot of people would like sort of talk down about him and just musicians in general. You know what I mean?
Because rock was considered a more vulgar art. Yeah.
Yeah, it was back. It was, and especially when you're doing like a sort of out there version of rock with jazz elements and weird, lyrics and just off the wall stuff that you do on stage. It's like that stuff would be. People would still be a little weirded out, but it would be a lot more accepted and like stuff nowadays. Whereas
for sure.
Interviewers would like, especially if they were from like a news station or something that was covering like some, the censorship of rock and all that stuff going on at the time. They would be so condescending in the tone that they would take with like guitarists and musicians in general. And like, but then there's interviews like where people are talking to him in like a personable way, and he's actually like just friendly and regular to talk to. But he got a reputation of being an asshole because of his interview responses to these condescending stuffed suits. You know what I mean?
Say, imagine being hostile to someone who's being hostile to you first. Here's a question though about Zappa. In your opinion, Doomkid, do you think that he would be the same guy he is now if he wasn't like part of his image is that he was such a counterculture icon? In this day and age, he would blend right in and not be nearly as controversial or as impactful. He'd be a great musician.
I don't think he would.
But
I don't think he would blend in. I think he would still. I think he would still stand out to a degree. Because honestly, a lot of the ideas that he espoused still haven't necessarily caught on in a mainstream way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, but at the same time, the fact that people were repulsed by this crazy guy, whereas now no one would be repulsed by it. You know what I mean? Even, and so it's
not shocking enough.
It loses some of its edge. But to me, that the edge is just like the whoa that gets you in the door. Like the actual substance would still be there. So I think it would still shine through. Although it would be probably less known, I would say that, as the level of fame would probably be lessened. But I think that it would still be Frank's voice and stuff, and his ideas would still stand out to this day, I think.
Cool.
That's why he would be my, because you were mentioning dinner party guests. That's probably why he'd be one of my picks. I'm curious, Jimmy, do you have any figures who you would be, alive or dead, just historical or otherwise, who you'd, be curious to talk to?
I'd love to invite Syriac over for dinner.
You could do that in real
He
life.
is definitely a historical figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's it's funny. Based on some of his forum posts and stuff, he seems much more just regular. Like a lot of artists end up being, just more down to earth and stuff, and not actually nearly as strange as the stuff he creates.
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
he is super just a bloke, He's just like, yeah.
I like that. That's a great quality to have, especially when you create such awesome stuff.
Yeah, he leaves his unhinged self
Definitely.
on the cutting room floor, or in his music, or in his wads.
Yeah. I wish I had that sort of freewheeling brand of creativity, but I'm so deeply entrenched in like conformity with like music theory and stuff like that. Maybe if I'd had more of a jazz sort of upbringing, or listen to more experimental stuff. Maybe listening to more Frank Zappa would be a good start. Actually, would be,
Even then, I would want to
yeah.
I would get them the more digestible end of his music and suggest that, because there's stuff out there like I love what he had to say, but there's even Sabbath songs out there where I go, oh, this is terrible, and I actually like that though. I'm like, good. There should be some that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
he was a big proponent of like doing if and there's nothing wrong with conforming to standards in music, by the way.
Absolutely not, yeah.
Those standards are set for a reason. They sound friggin' good to the ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I like to have like, for me, I like the cake to be normal, but then there's a little bit of the weird icing on top. So you just get just enough of the weirdness, but you don't, it still conforms by the most. But that stuff that I create, is what I would call it. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I guess I'm saying I'd love to compose a little bit more like Stu Boy does, because he really does like just freewheel it a lot and just has a lot of fun clearly while doing it.
A lot of soul comes through in like midis and stuff through that approach. It's really nice.
Definitely.
It's cool to be able to still have that level of soul come through something that's transcribed rather than performed live,
Totally agree.
Not to say that all the midis I hear from most of the known composers in the community, they radiate character and to a degree soul as well, despite the MIDI limitation. Being able to use that medium so expressively is really a talent in its own right,
Do you guys have like a favorite MIDI for like basically, I guess out of the artists that we've discussed so far on this podcast deathmatch thing, those being let's see, Mark Clem, David Shaw, Stu Boy, I suppose myself. Anybody else we want to rattle off? Because we could do like a quick, what's your favorite MIDI from X artist?
I got a shout out to Sino, because I knew he made MIDIs. He has those MIDI cartridges on his old channel. And I probably would not have thought anything of his MIDI compositional abilities had he not contributed to No Rest for the Living. His MIDI Homesick is just, I don't know, it's maybe it's the way it transitions so effortlessly from the laid back kind of wistful feeling to that grand feeling at the end. It's so seamless and catchy and pretty, and it does so many things at once. I just had no idea he had that in him. And then
I need to listen.
Is that the MIDI that plays on the Earth bass?
Yes, the first track. It's like what an introduction to No Rest for the Living.
Brilliant track. Awesome track.
If that had been in the original No Rest for the Living, that No Rest for the Living would have a lot more publicity, I suspect. And then the other track that I really like by him is the replacement he did for, not surprisingly, Central Processing, the one of the Drake O'Brien maps for the TNT MIDI pack. Really,
that was a good one.
Loved his reimagining of Horizon. Again, it's got that element of, first of all, he honored the original, which is I think one of the best TNT tracks, Horizon, which I really appreciated. And then he added that little Decino touch to it at the end, this kind of soaring, potent guitar-led I don't know what to call it, kind of like a explosion of pathos. It's beautiful. So I guess, oh, and then in the same vein is BPRD as a composer. It's not just he's most known for the Mucus Flow, but I think his Equinox tracks and his Nuts 3 track are just basically inimitable. So if I guess my two picks for kind of composers that don't maybe get mixed in and often enough with the canon are those two.
It's funny, on this topic of you're talking about Decino and BPRD. With Decino's MIDIs, I need to listen to Homestuck, is that what it's called?
Homesick.
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 Homestuck is a different thing.
I need to listen to Homesick again because I remember listening to a number of his MIDIs and I thought they were all good. And I actually had a similar moment with Decino that I did with MtPain. When I was doing mid the way Id did, I knew he was a great Doom player. And
he did Broxel.
Just yeah, he kind of did it was like, oh, I think I said something to him or someone was talking to him through me or something and said something to the effect of, oh, I didn't know that you were a composer. And he said, oh, I just plop notes down in the editor. And then I listened to his backlog later on and I was like, God damn it, another one of these cases of like a brilliant musician saying, oh, yeah.
What is with all these goddamn talented people? Holy shit.
It was funny. I was glad to hear such awesome music. I thought it was just so funny how he downplayed it, sort of, when you know what I mean, during that initial.
That's what we artists do, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
We are just humble to a fault without fail.
Yeah, you don't want to play up expectations too high, otherwise everybody will just think you're arrogant or be disappointed.
No, and yeah, of course you don't want to be arrogant, but you're able to say, I'm pretty good without coming off as arrogant, I think. And
well, I mean, you also
I do the same thing.
You also want to just say what you can say with confidence. Like, the only thing I can say with confidence is that I have made music. I can't say I've made good music. I can't even say I'm happy with all the music.
Yo, come on.
All I can say is that I have made music. That's the only thing I can say with confidence, and that's the truth.
Well, I could say with confidence that it's good, and same goes with Jimmy's. I could say with confidence that mine's good for what it does. I had a goal in mind when I was making these MIDIs, and it achieved that goal. Now, whether or not someone likes that goal is a whole different story.
That's fair.
But they did what they set out to do reasonably well, I feel.
Yeah, sure, of course.
And I feel the same applies, although you guys have more I would say I don't hesitate to say you have more complex composing abilities than I do. But you achieve the ends you seek to meet well, and to me that is at least a part of what should be considered good musicianship, you know what I mean?
Well, and honestly,
definitely
none of that stuff really matters in terms of, like, I mean, I like to accomplish what I set out to do, but what music did for me way back when I first got into making it in any capacity was I love listening to music. I am in awe of musical artists. They inspire me, they keep me going, they give purpose and meaning to my life. And my making music was basically like an attempt to give back or participate in that, that magic somehow. So when I'm doing that, I feel better just about life and about everything. And when I'm not, I feel nowadays generally worse about stuff. So for me, it's all about just creating anything at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
The joy of creating.
Exactly. Or in my case, the despair of not creating and the normalcy of creating, which is a really bad way of looking at it, but that is kind of where I'm at most of the time.
I must admit, I think I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I don't want to speak for Jimmy, but for me, and as Jimmy just confirmed, when you go too long without making something, it starts getting, to me, it's like, I feel like a emotional, like, my soul it needs a hit. My soul needs a hit, man, and I start scratching my arm, you know what I mean? Like,
man.
I actually do get itchy, like, legitimately, if I'm not in the mood for, like, or if I feel like I want to be creative, but I just don't have the drive.
Boy, do I relate to that.
That's I'm glad to know that it's a semi-common thing among people who are, creative types, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, it's been actually quite comforting to hear both of you say that. Feel less alone.
I've definitely had it before. I've had, like, this weird drive for years. I was like, I want to be a heavy, influencing part of a project that wins a CAC award. And finally it did with Rowdy Rudy 2, and I was like, oh, this is great. It's like, okay, now I need to do that again, but with even more, like, the drive just becomes more like it's good to take time to appreciate the, when you get people with feedback that says, hey, I like what you're making, it feels good. It's good to remember to appreciate that rather than just trying to jump to the next thing as well.
Yeah.
There's a good balance between taking breaks and then having droughts. You know what I mean?
Right, and when it becomes like when your soul needs that hit of not just the creation process, but the approbation of your peers, and praise is one of the deadliest drugs there is.
Oh gosh, it makes you feel good and it can make you feel terrible.
Absolutely.
It's so weird. It's such a
because like
such a double-edged thing.
The withdrawal period like almost never ends unless you forcibly wean yourself off it.
It's
Speaking from personal experience.
it's good to hear someone speaking so open and candidly about that. Most people would want to hide the fact that, oh wow, confirmation feels good, but really it's just a truth of the way human brains are programmed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, praise is good. Praise is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Always praise your peers if you possibly can. Just empower your fellow creators.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. That's why I don't like, if there's something I don't like, I don't necessarily like shitting on it. You know what I mean? Because it's like someone else is, let me just refocus that to re-emboldening things I do like rather than tearing down things I don't.
Yeah, all I want to do is put good vibes out into the world and do that any way I can, basically.
Well, boy,
it's funny.
If I were to support that sentiment right now, I'd look like a real hypocrite, wouldn't I? Mr.
Because you've
hands out
well,
Fs. Now, I just wanted a chance to you guys. You say what you were gonna say. I feel like you guys rebutted it.
No, I can't. Well, look, I mean, my most viewed, or at least the videos I'm most known for, are like one where I refuted game theory, one where I refuted G-Man, and now one where I refuted Midnight. I had another one where I was refuting other Doom myths. It's like I'm known as a refuter, so people might take that as a negative first step almost. But I never try to crap on the people I'm responding. I'm never like, you suck. I'm just trying to like correct things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The thing is that negativity, however you present it, however positively you present it, it gets the clicks. Like people enjoy the Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had to engage in that too. Like my thumbnail for the response with the Midnight response, I never insulted the guy. I see no reason to insult the guy. That's just being a douche. But I was just responding to stuff that was incorrect. But my thumbnail, I had to make it like Doom guy with a flamethrower, like literally setting the iceberg on fire. Like, just, you gotta it's the incendiary, like, toe in the door, and then you actually approach it, like, level-headed from that point on. It's a funny thing how that works,
Yeah.
And for my part,
Dean
of Doom-wise, my whole thing is about giving maps grades and basically qualitatively shelving Doom maps, which initially was like fun to do in my own time. Like I came up with I had an Excel sheet with a bunch of map grades long before the show actually started. But when I started to air my thoughts, in public and have people sort of, I actually like it when people engage negatively with like, why did you give that an F? Much more than, haha, you gave that an F. I think the most notorious example of me giving an F and people kind of cheering was Gene Bird, and that is probably my most regretted episode to this day. That and a little bit the master levels. I think I treated the master levels a little glibly, but not all of them. I still don't like the master levels at all. But I think you can tell the difference between Season 1 and Season 2. There's more maturity about Season 2 in terms of its... Like, yes, some maps need to get Fs because there is a hierarchy to map quality, at least in my mind. And there is a certain amount of fun because, like, you can't have a top of the heap without a bottom of the heap. But you don't have to be cruel to the bottom of the heap, and that's something that I learned kind of just from fan feedback and from just generally, searching through my own feelings on the subject. There's really no reason to browbeat F maps. That's why I keep those reviews a lot shorter nowadays, unless we're talking about Magical's maps in Community Chest. But I think I made a
Wow.
But both of those maps were just so fascinating in their refusal to accept conventions that's why I went on that tangent at the end of Citadel at the Edge of Eternity, because it's like this map is it's beyond my grading system. It's not important what the grade is. This is a fascinating map. You honestly should play it, but it stole 9 hours of my life. Like it hurt. You know, It hurt me a little bit. So I just try to be as honest as I could without sacrificing honesty. I think it is important not to be just wantonly negative.
That's the thing as well, because on the point of re-emboldening things you enjoy and not tearing down things you don't enjoy, there is a middle ground, of course, that people, you know, sometimes forget to acknowledge, of like finding something that you don't necessarily like, but trying to like genuinely sort of help the person along, or at least provide a new perspective.
Or engage with it, you know, as best you can without being abusive.
Exactly. And that's sometimes that can be a hard line to ride too, because I've seen examples of people giving what was just sort of genuine feedback, and people do get upset still anyway. They're like, even though the person's being nice-ish at least about it, the person's like, you didn't like my wad though, you know what I mean? And it's an emotional sore spot, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, but even that I can understand. Like if you have the freedom to say, yeah, I didn't like that, they have the freedom to say, what the hell, man? You know, why didn't you like it? I thought it was good. So that's what debate and discourse is. And on the internet, it can be as you ought to expect it to be pretty knee-jerk and thin-skinned, because that's just, I don't know.
It's funny as hell to see. It's funny because when it starts getting layered on, though, you've got to remember, like, being on Doomworld forums for so long, and not just Doomworld, I mean, all kinds of internet communities and stuff that I've at least peeked my head into. You get this weird thing where people are reacting to the reactions of the reactors who reacted, like, you know.
That's what gets the clicks. That's what gets the views.
Absolutely. All hail drama.
Outrage culture is real.
Yeah.
And I will say that, yeah, even though I do try to be that one sort of guy in the Doom community who is overwhelmingly positive about almost everything, you know, I still do enjoy the odds, you know, MtPain, for example, going into like a big old tangent about a map that he's ultimately given an F, you know. So that's what I was gonna say. Your Citadel at the Edge of Eternity breakdown, I think, is my favorite thing you've done so far.
Oh, I was gonna say. Well, a lot of that wasn't even negative. It was just like, look at how much there is to do in this map. That's more or less.
Look at all of this bullshit.
Yeah.
It was like, it's funny because the map itself is a enormous journey, but then it's like hearing your thoughts on it was like another journey built on the back of an existing journey, almost. Like listening to you talk about it was a journey in its own right, an emotional journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I was looking at the length of the video, and what was it? It was something like, you know, 40 minutes in length.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
And we got up to like map 28 at like the 30-minute mark. I was like, oh boy, we are in for something. You know?
There's a big. Yeah, no, that was good. I really liked that. That was one of my, probably that, and of course, I mean, a fan favorite for some people is I Am Save Scum, because I am too.
Yeah,
I'm Save Scum.
I want to make more videos like that. I've actually got one basically queued up. Like, the script is not much of a script so much as a, well, you'll see when it comes out, but it's another basically Doom positivity type video. So I really like doing those.
Spoiler alert.
I like it.
And I won't. And that's not a promise that it's going to come out this week or anything. Just that it exists in my mind. I've been planning it for a while.
Right. Someday it'll come.
Yeah. I like this MIDI.
Oh man, this is
a Mark Clem MIDI.
This gives,
okay, good. I was about to say Mark Clem, and then I was going to go, oh shit, am I going to be wrong again? But yes, I was right this time.
This gives major back to Saturn
less solid on the.
Doesn't it? With the arpeggio, the guitar arpeggio, a little bit of entering.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Tiny bit.
I'm less good on the titles. Oh yeah, this particular bit. Yeah,
the first.
yeah,
map.
the bit I'm listening to now. I reconnected, so I'm out of sync with the rest of you guys into
Gotcha.
MIDI. But yeah, this is very
Oh.
entering actually. Now that I think about it, yeah, yeah. I think this one's called Gravestones.
I like it.
It's definitely a Mark Clem track. It's a really
Man,
cool one.
Midis used in Gothic DM by Mark Clem. You did mention earlier, Jimmy, favorite Midis from composers. I want to ask you after this actually what if you have a personal favorite Midi of your own. But I want to say Land of Unjolly. I think that's what it's called. Oh no, just The Unjolly by Mark
Beyond
Clem.
Jolly, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, that's
man,
in this set. We had that
I
earlier, I think.
love that MIDI so much. That would be a high. I don't know if I would say absolute favorite, but that'd be a high contender right there.
Yeah, it's a really, really good piece of music. Just a real driving sort of high octane sort of piece.
And then this sort of breakdown in the middle where it's like down, 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 and it like chills out a little bit almost. I love that.
Yeah, it gets a bit Sabbathy actually. I keep saying
Yeah.
Sabbathy, but I think there are legitimate like, comparisons between, rock and metal bands of like the 70s, 80s, 90s in Mark Clem and David Shaw's, and a little bit of Jeremy Doyle's work as well.
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
definite.
I mean, if I honestly listening to some of their midis, like a wad that used some midis by some of those bands, and then some midis by like those guys you mentioned, could be still have a pretty seamless soundtrack. Really, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And yeah, that's a great one. But yeah, do you have any midis that you've written where you think ones that you look particularly fond on, or you just think where that was a really good one?
Of mine, do you mean?
Yeah, of your own.
Okay. Well, I've been writing some really long pieces lately. The epics, as I call them.
Yeah.
I've got a thread of them on Doomworld now, and the one I keep coming back to that I just dig so much because I'm so happy with the way that it turned out was the Necromancer's Demise.
Nice.
13-minute long epic. It starts with a big evil sounding church organ. It's got some weird chord progressions in it. I would say I was sort of channeling a bit of Stewboy in that one as well, actually. So
right.
It's an adventurous piece for sure. One of my most daring, I think.
Very nice.
That's cool, man.
I listened to the one with the one with the mountain on the front cover. What was that called, Jimmy?
No, it's got a big castle on the front cover.
No, I'm saying I listened.
Sort of
I'm
misty
sorry.
green castle.
I'm thinking of a different one. I'm saying I listened to the one with the mountain on the cover.
The Mountaineer?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Mountaineer, yeah. I think that's probably my second favourite out of all the epics. Because that one really does sort of take you on a journey between loads of different, like, moods, I suppose, in MIDI form.
Absolutely.
Yeah, different, going from different vibe to different vibe.
Like the God.
Yeah, and it's like there's less story going on in that piece. But yeah. What were you saying?
Oh, I just mentioned like the Godhood Suite takes you on a full epic, fully fledged musical adventure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The difference there is, I guess, that the Godhood Suite has a story, and like it has a like really seriously cohesive kind of plot line to it.
Oh wow.
That I haven't really divulged it much. I did talk about it on a podcast with Bridgeburner, I think, last year. But it basically, to really boil it down, it just tells the tale of two warring demigods who are brothers, and they are basically the harbingers of order and chaos in the universe, basically. And eventually, the chaotic demigod brother, who's just sort of sick of his younger brothers interfering with his like whims, his chaotic whims, is just one day decides that he's going to just travel into the mortal realm and just wreak havoc there, and just like because the gods are supposed to like remain where they are, basically.
Sure, yeah.
And this is basically the ultimate sin that he's committed. So the Order demigod then assumes the form of a mortal man in the mortal realm, and then chases down his brother through all sorts of different worlds and different planes of existence, meets friends along the way, and ultimately I don't know if I should spoil this, but well, it's the story, but it's never going to be made into a book or anything because I don't have that gumption. But ultimately, he renounces his godhood and decides that he's going to remain in the mortal realm as a human man. And sort of like you decide to remain in hell so that no demon may arise again. You know?
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool. That's a really cool way to resolve it. So you have you actually, I know you're saying you're not going to make a book out of it, but have you ever actually written at least like a sort of maybe a couple page documenting at least the fundamental cornerstone parts of the story? You know what I mean? Like it would be cool if you had it written down and documented in a way, so it can.
Yeah, I won't lie. Me and my sibling have long thought about turning it into a small animated show, but
Cool.
I don't know if we have the resources for it, but it would be awesome if that could ever happen. Because we have written, like, screenplays for episodes.
He used to he used to play with we on Doom Connector. I swear I remember you having a sibling who would play Doom with us every now and then.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't know if Bimmy Deathmatch is so much anymore. They mostly just sort of like hang out with friends on Discord and have a little modding community there, and
that's
Bimmy's
so
actually done lots of weapon mods for Doom, and I think for Heretic as well.
Cool.
Seems to be pretty heavily involved in GZ Doom modding in particular.
Wow, that's really cool. I just didn't. We mentioned your sibling. I was like, oh wow, it was like a flashback in time for me. It's just been so long.
Oh yeah.
Lore unearthed.
Yeah, no, Bimmy's still kicking.
Cool.
So you guys is there actually a plan to sort of turn it into an animated thing, or is it like, something that is a wish list or like a bucket list, as MtPain sometimes calls them?
It's kind of a bucket list thing. We'd need people to help out with the project and money, first and foremost.
Yeah, God. So much required, you need the right people, you need the money to fund it, and so much goes into it.
I'll voice act for you for free.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
The offer's open.
Oh man,
that would be fab. Yeah. I guess I'll let you know if anything does happen.
Great.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to turn it into a sort of Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing. Maybe sort of like a loosely plot-driven sort of, like Gravity Falls thing. That would be the ultimate goal for me.
That's a good thing to have in mind, because I haven't seen all of it, but what I have seen of that show really entertained me.
Yeah, I need to actually sit down and watch it properly.
I had an idea. So yeah. Anyway, that would be good. You should get that at the very least. Of course, even you can't go full hog with it. Get that story documented somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna after this round. Do you guys want to call it for the night, or?
Yeah, I think so. We're approaching the 2.5, almost 3 hour mark, I think.
Oh, holy crap! Okay, all right, yeah.
9:40.
All right, we'll give a final round, and then we'll wrap it up. Is there any last things you guys wanted to sort of, Jimmy's already been...
I've got to give my top 5 Jimmy Paddock midis. I promised him at the beginning.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I can't really put them in any particular order, but I think it's a nice little breadth of like your earlier stuff and your later stuff, and I can give out some honorable mentions as well.
Freight hoppers.
Okay.
So
nice.
Honorable mentions first, I guess. I think I don't know what it's called, but the MIDI for Speed of Doom Map 7, the one that Joshy made a bunch of references to Map 7's.
Rusty Nails.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. It's underrated. I've also Great Hall has grown on me, despite the orneriness of the map it's always placed in, the various poison ivies.
Yeah.
I do like Great Hall, and I also like how it was used in Lost Civilization Map 19. That must have been cool for you to see it kind of transform and take on yet another form. Also a huge fan of stealth mode, which appears in Valiant and Plutonium MIDI pack.
Yeah,
Gen
that's
MIDI pack,
I know
yeah.
that's a good one.
That's a classic. Did you you referenced Aim Shoot Kill, right? By Thomas Stain.
I did indeed, yes.
Yeah, I felt very clever
Because
for
MtPain27.
yeah, and I felt very clever for getting that when I first heard it.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's a cool reference.
It works perfectly. I had a theory for a long time that it was a mishmash of the Dave D. Taylor blues and Aim Shoot Kill.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not exactly the same, but it moves. The chord progression moves in a similar way.
Yeah, it's a little bluesy, isn't it? Yeah.
That's such a common
alright.
structure, though. So it's like an almost an accidental nod
Yeah,
to
exactly.
DDT Blue, just by how universal that style is.
So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. Okay. So I guess, and then I guess the last honorable mention is Liquid Luck from Back to Saturn X, the long one, whatever it's called.
Okay.
God damn, what is it called? The Australia ping. Underground
That's a good name.
Initiations.
I like it.
Underground Initiations. That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
That one. I featured that one in what do you call it? In the Back to Saturn X video. I took a minute to let it play. But anyway, the top 5 I would say are Brutal Schism from Dehydration. Quite simple, but
Righto. Yep.
but I absolutely love it. It goes. I mean, that's a huge reason why I like Dehydration to begin with. Is that MIDI just doesn't get old. Hate Machine from Sigil, but probably if not the best, one of the best opening tracks to a Doom WOD ever. Within
Yeah, that's a great one right there.
Within Reach, from of course
Within Reach. No.
the what the heck?
Tough Skin River.
Tough Skin River. Pretty epic and unusual. Just the instrumentation and the melody just are a little bit not quite I don't know. I wouldn't immediately associate it with your
not
style.
as doomy.
But yeah, I think it was
Right. Okay.
It's an early-ish Jim MIDI. So I think it I don't know. I've always loved it.
Yeah, I think I wrote it in 2010, 2011.
Sounds about right. Another older one, Pistons, which is very often been reused. I heard it first in Eternity, but loved it just as much in Genesis.
Oh yeah.
Really lovely, like arcadey track. It was one of the first custom MIDIs I heard that gave me to think that Doom didn't have to just be blood and guts and gore and hell, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think probably my favorite MIDI of yours ever is, if I had to pick one out of all of these, it would probably be Motion Machine. Absolutely
okay, yeah.
love, just it's one of the most energetic, exciting, upbeat MIDI I've ever heard, and it's that bit in the middle with the echoey acoustic guitar. It just feels like you're looking out over a vast expanse and readying yourself for more adventure. It's just breathtaking, wonderful stuff.
Good description.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I can't believe
Yeah,
I'm
pretty-
getting to say that
Pretty
to you
damn good tracks.
directly. I'm sitting here a little gobsmacked that I get to tell you that, because I remember years ago, I was trying to explain to my girlfriend exactly what I loved about these tracks so much, and she's like, yeah, that's cool. But getting to tell the creator is something else entirely. So I'm glad I got this opportunity.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. No worries, man. Yeah. Nice choices. I will say that I was featured in a magazine lately, one of the online magazines, E1M1, which also ran a top 5 Jimmy tracks article. And I think, yeah, hold on, I'm trying to find it. It was literally at my desk.
So if you do find it, you could put it in the chat, and I would be able to see it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I might just upload the PDF file for you guys later.
Yeah, if there's a link, I could put it in the description too, so people can check it out.
Yeah, sweet.
It might not be a public one. It might. I think it was for Patreon. Supporters only.
Oh, okay.
But I will see if I can verify that. But yeah, I think 3 out of MtPain's choices were on that list. Actually, I'm pretty sure Motion Machine was on there. Hate Machine was definitely on there, and
Pistons.
there was one other. Can you rattle them off again?
Yeah,
MtPain?
yeah.
Sorry,
There's brutal schism, pistons, liquid.
Brutal schism.
Yeah, there you go. I'm
There
glad.
we go,
I'm
yeah.
glad people.
So yeah, 3 out of 5 basically.
I'm really glad people recognize how good a MIDI that is. It's just remarkably. It's like
Hmm.
not over the top. It's not necessarily like turning somersaults or anything, but it doesn't have to. The great thing about the original Doom MIDIs is that they found their groove with relatively simple riffs, but that were memorable and catchy and didn't get old. And that's exactly what Brutal Schism
Just
does.
enough hook.
Hey, another Doomkid fan.
Wow, they're everywhere. In the least likely of places.
I know, I just this little Odomex server. I just actually, okay, I'm gonna just derail you guys really quick because 8079 makes such good midis, and the real Jimmy and MtPain. Oh man. But yeah, there's the MIDI that was used in Rowdy Rudy 2 by Ronnie James Diner was Cacophony of Asian Donut Shops.
Yes.
And that MIDI is pretty short and fast, but it's such a fun adventure of a little MIDI. Like it paints a nice mental picture too. Like I love the little MIDIs or just pieces of music in general where they actually paint a picture in your mind when you hear them,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and they can fit certain maps so well too. Yeah, I just wanted to give mention to that MIDI and to 8079 in general.
8079 makes some absolutely killer midis.
Yeah.
Have you played Arrival yet, MtPain?
Just the first map. It was great.
Ah, excellent. Well, you're in for some real treats from 80 and from Pavera, actually. It's a fabulous map set, Arrival.
Oh yeah. So I've heard. Looking forward to it.
Oh man.
Who else haven't we shouted out that deserves shout-outs? Alfonso makes absolutely fabulous midis. We have, I think, we mentioned All Systems A Go-Go earlier.
Yep, and Gutter Penny's my personal favorite of his.
And Gutter Penny, yeah. Weezer is a great one. That was Eternity Map 9.
Oh, that is a good one.
Which I picked
man.
for my map. Yeah,
The very Wolfensteinish MIDI that one of the ones he donated for whenever Mid the way it did was like had just started. He's like, well, I've got these 2 MIDIs I haven't used yet.
Is that the one that was
Which
map 12 for the factory? Was that the one?
map? Yes, that's right. And the other one was Evil and El Salon. But I liked the map 12 one was probably my favorite of the 2 that he submitted.
That was my. I got very comfortable with that one playing one of Use 3D's maps for Community Chest. It was actually it fit perfectly.
That one quite a few times.
It was great. It was. Dude, I swear to God, your MIDI pack worked so well. I mean, nobody intentionally composed for Community Chest 1, but all the replacements were spot on.
That's so funny how it was secretly and accidentally a Community Chest 1 MIDI pack.
It works great. I give it my full endorsement.
And then there's old deathmatch wads like Green War, which desperately need MIDIs. They benefit from that as well.
Be the change you want to see in the world, man. Start it up.
That's right.
Somebody will definitely join your Green War MIDI project. Alrighty, I think that's where we call it quits. At least playing.
That was a big session. That was fun. I enjoyed it. It was good talking with you.
Absolutely.
GG.
Oh, the G'est of G's.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it was good. We'll have to do it again whenever you guys want. We'll do it again sometime.
Sounds great.
Hell yeah. Sounds great.